and welcome to the vast African bush. We are coming to you on a live game drive from Djuma Arathusa and Cheetah Plains Game Reserve in the world-famous Sabi Sand in the Kruger National Park area. A place famous from everything from its big cats to its big elephants and all of the smaller things in between. And we're going to try and bring you as many things as possible because this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
And as I said, a very warm welcome to you on this glorious spring afternoon here in the African bush. My name is Jane. This afternoon I have Dazzling Dave on camera with me, and I hear tell that the intrepid explorer, the avid adventurer, Mr. Henry, may or may not have returned from his travels in Kenya, and will be on your screens as well in the not-too-distant future. But until then, we are here to occupy your time. And don't forget that you can send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@wildearth.tv. And what a lovely, bright and blue afternoon it is. My antenna, along with my hat, I'm both trying to make my life very difficult. Hold on. See if I can perfect this. It's trying to take out my right eyeball, which I'd prefer to avoid. Ah! We'll just pop that down there for now. That's quite scary. There you go. Wait. Yeah. Pretend that's all. Everything's fine. It's all under control. I'll pop that down there. Well, I'm going to wrestle the antenna into submission one way or another. So while I do that, let us head across to said Mr. Henry so that he can tell you about all the wonderful tales of his adventures.
Gobble. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this rise. No, it's not. It's sunset, Brian. I'm breaking up. Again? There we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome. No, I'm still breaking up. I'm going to throw this microphone into the dirt. Yes, I am. Is that okay now? Yes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Sunset Safari. Of course, Jamie has said that to you, and so I'm just reiterating it. My name is James Henry. For those of you who don't know, on camera today, Brian, the Eclipse Thumb. Joubert. Wonderful. Very nice. Thank you, Brian. That is the eclipse thumb. Of course, everyone, we experienced a 40% eclipse of the sun at about 11 o'clock this morning. It was a profound spiritual experience, wasn't it, Brian?
It was indeed.
Yes, very spiritual. Now, you may have noticed that I was standing out of the vehicle. This is because I have a pair of spanky new green shorts that I wanted you all to see. Thank you very much. I hope you all like them as much as I do. I'm hoping to be invisible to the animals from the waist down, Brian. Yes, my legs, of course, do not require any covering below the knee, as they are virtually invisible as it is. Now, my plan this afternoon is to head towards the lions, which I missed very much on my little jaunt to the Mara Triangle in southern Kenya, and that is where I have been for the last week. It was a profound and wondrous joy to see the unbelievable diversity that there was there. A totally brand new experience for me, and I hope that you all who were watching had a good time seeing the marvels that we saw. Wildebeest being chomped by crocodilians, zebra also being chomped by crocodilians, but the vast number of those wildebeest and zebra and topi and gazelle and all the other animals there, well, the crocodiles can't even make a dent on the enormous population that they have there. Anyway, it was a great experience to go there, but it is nice to be back in home. Of course, South Africa is the most beautiful country in the entire world, and so while Kenya was very fantastic, and we're going back there again at the end of this month, it's good to be back home in the low veld of South Africa, where apparently I'm told it's 27 degrees Celsius or 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Spring has sprung, as they say. The grass is riz, And as we drive around here, I am wondering where all the birdies is. And I must just say, at this stage, just before we carry on with the serious business of animal, bird and biology, a profound congratulations to Peter Braat and Alex Wozniacki and all those involved in moving the final control from basically Yuri's lounge into a new, spanky, fantastic facility just outside the DRC. And I hope that they are very proud of themselves, because we're certainly very proud of it. They said to us, well, we'll just do it between drives. And we all went, it'll take you a week to do that. Well, it took them less than between drives, and here we are without a glitch at all to any form of service. So that's great, great job from Peter and Alex. Brian, did you go to the lions this morning?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? You mean we might bumble around here trying to find them for much of the afternoon?
Most likely.
Right, okay, good. And then thank you to all of you for your kind welcomes back. Is it welcome backs or welcomes back, Brian?
Welcome back.
Welcome backs. I think you're right, yes. Thank you very much for your kind welcome backs. Like I say, it is nice to be back. There is a feeling of home around pulling into the DRC where we live. Room number 3 is where I live, of course. It was also, did become home to many mosquitoes in my absence, and so I had to do a lot of spraying and hitting at the wall to kill the little blighters on my return. That is nothing that should concern you for the course of the day. Now, Brian, do you know if any further Wahlberg's eagles have been seen while I was gone?
Not that I know of.
Ah, so still it remains the only one that I have seen. Oh, here we go. They're wonderful news. Thank you very much, Louisi. She says that there was one seen on the dam cam for about 20 minutes the other day. So that's good news. Was it a pale form or a dark one, Louisi? It was silent. Okay, silent. Okay, good. I am much looking forward to seeing the birds that are arriving. Things in the final control, because it is new, of course, slightly unfamiliar and lots of stuff going on in there during the course of the afternoon. Now, I do actually vaguely know where the lions are. They're up in a place called Hyena Road, which is not too far from here. I just thought we'd do a little turn down through the Umloamati drainage and see what we could find there. As it turns out, Brian, nothing. No. Nada. Zilch. Nix. And there is that lovely smell, of course, of knobthorn flowers in the air. It's marvellous. Oops. Well done, Brian. Managed to avoid killing Brian on my first drive back. Not many trees in the Mara to hit the cameraman on, I must say. There are many rocks, however, you can drive your car into and render it utterly useless. I think what we'll do around the next corner is just have a little stop and a listen and a bit of a smell. Hello, Scott. You're in Greenville. And we're just going to stop under this, what was a gymnogene's nest. I'm not sure if the gymnogenes are in resident. They are. Oh, and a nyala. That's one animal I didn't see in the Mara, everybody. There he is, my favourite antelope. Maybe closely followed now by the topee, of course. Scott, you're in Greenville and you want to know whether I saw many minibuses in the Mara, because from what you've heard, they are not an endangered species. The minibus seems to have been largely replaced, Scott, in the ecological niche by the extended land cruiser. And of them, there are many and varied. The way in which they are driven is astounding. Some would say disturbing, in fact. And certainly some of the sightings we had, although the limit is supposed to be 5 vehicles per sighting, well, 5 to 19 seemed to be the general impression of how things should operate there. So it is far less regulated than it is here in the Sabi Sant, but that's not unusual. It's just like any national park where anyone can drive. What was that, Louise? About skinny nyalas? Ah, I see. Sorry about that. We're just making a little insert, everybody, a little sort of clip, a Safari Live story, if you like, on the drought. And so we record these chaps. I don't think he's looking maybe a bit skinny. He's certainly looking moth-eaten. But I wonder if that isn't a function of the fact that he's now starting to lose, or she, sorry, is now starting to lose her winter coat. Because it's now starting to get a bit warmer. Not that we had a cold winter at all. Well, from this Nyala, the most elegant of antelopes here, let us go across to the most elegant of presenters in all the Lowveld, Jamie Patterson, and she has a very large animal to show you.
My favorite of all of the largest animals that we get out here, the African elephant, in this case tucking into, interestingly enough, a spike thorn thicket. Now, you've just been looking at the poor thin Nyala with James. This is also something very interesting to see. You hardly ever witness elephants eating spike thorns unless they're feeling a little bit unhappy, maybe their digestive system's not feeling too good, or perhaps they've got a bit of a minor toothache. But otherwise, it's not the most nutritional of plant sources that they get out here. And we've just watched this young male, our one-tusked wonder, destroy an entire spike thorn plant before he managed to find the bit that he actually wanted, which appears to be part of the root system. And the reason that I say spike thorn is not an ideal lunch for an African elephant is that, first of all, as I said, it's nutritionally not ideal. It's also it's sort of tannin heavy, which means that it has a very drying effect on an animal's saliva. Now, I've made the cameraman eat spike thorn leaves before. I've eaten them myself. And it's a very unpleasant feeling. It's like all of your saliva has instantly disappeared out of your mouth. Very useful if you happen to find yourself with a stomach complaint, but otherwise not particularly appetizing. But isn't this boy beautiful? Hanging out on the outskirts of the herd, most of them have now crossed south over our boundary. But as I said, a one-tusked wonder. And interestingly enough, if he would be so kind as to give us a view of his other tusk, perhaps lift up his trunk a little bit. Yes, no. His other tusk is absolutely massive. It's huge for a male of that particular age. Uh-oh. Oh, dearie me. We find ourselves on a main road, and unfortunately somebody would very much like to come past us, especially gauging by the way he's resting his chin, hopefully, upon his hand. So let me just move. We are very much blocking a main access route, so bear with me one moment. It's a minibus, funnily enough. Sorry, boy. I'll come back to you, I promise. Please don't go away. All the other elephants have. Ah. You stopped to look at the elephant. Look, there's one there. There we go. Bye-bye, everybody. The smiles on those guests' faces were pretty impressive. Big grins from ears to ear. Perhaps their first elephant sighting of their new vacation in the African bush. You have to be excited for them. Imagine what they're feeling right now. On their way to one of the lodges, whether it's in Coral or Cheetah Plains. I'm sorry, boy. We've been very rude, huh? Thank you very much for being so patient. We've arrived again. Don't mind us. Thank you, little boy. Giving us a nice show, or hopefully going to give us a nice show of that impressive right tusk. The other one either didn't grow, or most likely he lost it, whether through fighting or through some vigorous attacking of trees. He might have snapped it off, it might have had a crack or something similar. They do occasionally get unerupted tusks that never grow properly, and of course we do get the odd tuskless elephant here as well. But that's okay, he's still got his right tusk that he can utilize for all the things that elephants use their tusks for. From digging to snapping branches, and occasionally the odd skirmish with another male. Look at his lovely eyelashes. They serve a very, very important purpose, of course, protecting the elephant's sensitive eye, whenever they stick their heads into thick thorny trees, or perhaps wander through with being smacked in the face by branches. And those long, long eyelashes make sure that their sensitive eyes stay safe. And as you can see, his inbuilt air conditioning system working overtime on this warm afternoon, flapping his ears away to make sure that he stays cool. That's not very appetizing, is it, boy? He's not exactly devoured this spike thorn root with relish. He seems thoroughly unimpressed with his afternoon meal choice. Giving his eye a gentle rub. Shame, boy. That's not very nice, is it? Not looking particularly enthusiastic about it. Oh, hold on. About to change my tune. Nope, it's going out again. Using that incredibly dexterous and nimble trunk to try and find the best possible parts of that particular root system. I think he's just chewing off the outside layer. And RJ was wondering about why our young bull is all alone. RJ, he's not totally alone. He did actually, when we first arrived here, have the company of a second male, and they are 2 trailers of a larger breeding herd. So they're just following behind. He is right on the cusp of the age at which he will be booted out of his natal herd and have to start making it out on his own as a lone bull elephant, which I always feel must be terribly scary for them, although I think I'm anthropomorphizing a bit. I'm sure they feel that natural instinctive urge to wander off on their own and join bachelor herds, or perhaps wander about on his own. And when he does get to the age of sort of 30, 40, he will spend a great deal of time on his own. They're perfectly content, male elephants, to be within their own company, and only really associating with other males or sometimes breeding herds for a little bit of company and perhaps the potential of passing on their genetics to the next generation of elephants. And he has moved further on to Chitwa, which is south of our boundary, so we're sitting right on the southern area of where we can go. The animal's not restricted in any way, but we are, which means that we cannot follow him any further or try and follow where he goes. Is that Herbert, or is it my... No, it's not. It can't be. Nope, it's a Toyota. Okay, we're going to just go a little bit further ahead, see if we can catch up with the rest of the herd that I saw crossing. Perhaps they've decided to stick around in the Mulwati drainage, where the food's a little bit better. Let me just pull over for this gentleman as well. Sorry, everybody. Otherwise, we're going to be constantly having to move. He was a particularly cool character. Had a seriously cool hairstyle going on there. Now, I spoke about the elephant's ears acting as its internal sort of air conditioning unit, and RJ would like to know how that works. How does the elephant's flapping of the ears help to cool them down? Well, RJ, although those ears are very, very thin, and the skin on the ears are very thin, it's much, much thinner than any other part of the elephant. They've also got a really extensive network of blood vessels. So essentially what that does, it's kind of like us when we get hot, when we exercise and we go pink in the face. That's to bring the surface of the blood to the surface of the skin where it can be cooled down by the passage of air. Elephants have just perfected that. So they've got these enormous ears with lots and lots of blood very close to the surface, and that constant motion means that air moves across it and it cools the blood down, and then that's transported to the rest of their bodies. Because as you can imagine, I mean, we're just going into summer now, and it's probably close to 30 degrees, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. In summer, temperatures are going to skyrocket to over 40 degrees, well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Hello, Elise. You're making life very difficult. It's a big female at the back there. Sure. How terribly inconvenient. We'll stop here for now. We do have a nice clear view of her. So there we go, RJ, not all alone at all. The rest of the herd is just on the other side of a river system, munching on in this case, a guarri bush, which is also not the most nutritious of meal choices. Life is tough out here for our Ellies at the moment. James. Sorry, everybody. James is trying to chat to me.
Jamie, I followed some tracks off Hyena Road, probably just where the road, just after where the road goes away from that puddle on the road. I followed south, at least west into the block, and then the track headed in a southerly direction, and now I seem to be missing them somewhere.
Okay, copy. Unfortunately, that area sort of got riddled with different entrances. The best entrance would have been a little bit further north from Hyena Road. But are you at the drainage line yet?
I'm on the edge.
Okay, copy. I think they might be a little bit further to the north of where you are. Hold on one moment. Sorry, everybody. James is lost. I mean, not that it is his fault at all. It is exceptionally difficult to navigate to that to that lion kill that he's on his way to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt something that may be crazy, but I'm going to try and send him. Oh my goodness, I'm so technologically advanced. Here we go. I'll show you what I'm doing. Just while I'm chattering away. I've put a place mark on a map, so there's our map. Aren't I? Oh, how's your reflection there?
Yeah, it's
Bright.
a little bit that we can see.
Okay, so you can sort of see I've put a red dot where I think the lions are, and I'm going to try and send that to James and see if that works. I'm uncertain as to help him. I should have GPS, the coordinates, because it is very tricky to find. Happens to the best of us. Definitely not going to be laughing at James for that. Hold on. Here we go. Oopsie. Okay, maybe I'm not as technologically advanced as I thought. And I'm going to try and send that through to him. And I'm going to send it to, where's his name gone? James Henry. Here we go. Okay, and now it's up to James. James, I've marked a point on the map where I think they are, and I've sent it through to you.
Okay, copy that.
Alright, back to our lovely elephants, and hopefully Mr. Henry will be able to find his way in, because of course I don't think Brian's been to that lion kill, has he? No. Oh dearie me. Our elephants continue unperturbed by the struggles of their human companions as they attempt to navigate themselves around the place. Because elephants, of course, have no such trouble. With their inbuilt GPS systems and incredible memories, an ability to communicate over tens of, and possibly even hundreds of kilometers, although that's sort of unconfirmed, but certainly incredibly far distances with their deep, low rumbles. I think that they'd be able to locate those lions in a heartbeat, not that they would choose to. We have become tremendously reliant upon things like maps and stars, and we might be okay at navigating, but it's certainly not as good as they are. She's currently stripped away while we've been chattering about James and his location difficulties, let's put it that way. She's been slowly but methodically stripping away the bark from that branch that she's pulled off. Oh! On to the next one. In that conveyor belt-like motion, in it goes one side. All she's doing, she's not after the wood, she's after the cambium bark layer, or the layer underneath the bark at least. And she's using her incredible molars to strip away the outside edge and get to essentially the circulatory system of the tree that she's pulled up. And something has stressed her out a little bit. You can see the streaming liquid between her eye and her ear. and that's usually a sign of an elephant that's been feeling a bit stressed, perhaps, and it's instant. That liquid, as soon as they get stressed about something or excited about something, that immediately starts streaming from the temporal gland. It's a sort of a hormonal mixture of liquid. It starts to drip almost immediately as soon as they have whatever emotional sort of upset that they've had. So it might even just been that a francolin flew out from beneath her feet and she got a fright and she started secreting. She looks perfectly relaxed. Right, speaking of location troubles and finding lions, let us jump on the back with James and see whether he's had any luck with my screenshot.
I have indeed had some luck with the screenshot, everybody. Here are the tracks going off in precisely the position where Jamie very humbly said, well, I think they're around there. Well, unsurprisingly, she is absolutely correct. Well, I hope. There's some very big tracks going off this way, so we'll just ease our way along and see what we can see. I think there have been many people coming to the sighting over the last little while, so it should be relatively easy to find. Relatively. I've also noticed while we are driving through here that very few of the trees here have got any leaves yet. Hello Sarah, you say how does it feel to be back? It feels very good to be back, Sarah. It was a lovely thing to see, a new place, new wildlife, and I'll be very excited to go back there. But you know, every place has its charms, and as I was saying to Brian, over there the charms, I suppose, are the unbelievable number of animals, almost no trees, very few trees, and the fact that you have these incredible vistas that you can look at. And here, there's just a charm of its own, and of course this is very much home, so it smells like home, which as many of you will know is very important to me. And also, this feels, although it's not nearly as big, well, I mean, the land that we're able to drive on here isn't as big, or the land in its extent is just as big, if not bigger, but it just feels much more exclusive here. Of course, watch your heads, everybody, duck down, put your coffees down, or whatever it is that you're drinking. But this feels more exclusive because, of course, there is the limit to how we behave, and certainly I would say, one hesitates to use the term professionalism, but the sensitivity accrued or given to the other guides and certainly given to the animals is possibly a lot higher over here. So that's a real positive from here, and it's a nice compliment to hear. And just to give you an idea, so we're operating in the Greater Kruger National Park, or the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, and the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, GLTP, Brian, for short, is 3.5 million hectares, right? And the Mara Serengeti ecosystem where we were operating is technically 2 million hectares, which is about 5 million acres. This is a very large and very dead green thorn. Hang on, everyone. But of course, that is unfenced. The Kruger, or the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, is fenced. And in the Mara Serengeti, it isn't fenced. It just moves straight onto sort of communal lands. So we can say it's roughly the same size. And then the Mara Triangle, where we're operating over there, is almost exactly the same size as the Sabi Sand. There, 51,000 hectares. The Sabi Sand, about 60,000 hectares, which is roughly, if you work it out in miles, I'm going to do it in square miles for you, which is just a bit easier for me. The Mara, about 350 square miles, was it? No, 250 odd square miles, and this place about 300 square miles. Not quite, actually. That's not quite right. I'll get my conversions eventually. Anyway, so rather the same, but of course here we're constrained by the borders on this private piece of land, but because of that we get the exclusivity. We get this incredible array of wildlife with no other vehicles or no other people around us. So that's the real positive of this place versus the Mara, which is much more of a free-for-all. But it is very, very beautiful, I must say. All right, let's go back to Jamie and her elephants. I think I'm pretty close to the lions, but we'll find out shortly. And while we do that, let's go back to the elephants.
Aha, James has managed to find the off-road tracks. He may think he's close, but he has yet to find his way into that lion sighting. And speaking from experience, he may not be as close as he thinks he is, because it's very far away. Well, since my elephants are playing hard to get right now, and have decided to disappear off to the south of our boundary, I thought we'd have a little chat about elephant tracks, since we haven't done that in a very long time, and we might have new viewers that haven't had a chance to get to see them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop out of the car with a very judicious inspection of the surrounding landscape. I don't think there's any other elephants trailing the herd, so it should be absolutely fine. And I'm not disturbing them in any way because I'm not going far from the vehicle from the road. They won't even see me when I jump out now, and I'll show you. But it just gives us a nice perspective of scale. Creak. Should be fine. Tiptoe. So I just wanted to show you. Can you hear me, Dave, if I do this and whisper? Okay, just so that I don't upset that female any more than I have to, because I think she's actually pregnant. Here we've got the elephant tracks wandering off the road. So these are beautifully fresh. We know because we can see the elephants. And if you have a look, you can see the network of veins that are essentially wrinkles underneath the elephant's foot itself. And each elephant has a completely unique pattern of wrinkles. And it will change over time, but some of them may have scars, some of them may have gaps. It's one of my favorite things about elephant tracks because it's like their footprint. Oh, sorry, it is their footprint. I mean their fingerprint that they've left in the sand. An elephant track provides you with another really useful marker, and that is the fact that the back foot, the front foot is pretty round because, like most animals, they carry most of the weight on their front foot. So their track in the front is bigger, rounder, and then the back foot has fallen on top of the front track and is much more oblong because there's less weight resting on the rear of the animal. Thought that was an elephant running towards me, but it's not, it's the wind blowing. And what it does is it actually forms a little bit of an oblong with a scuff mark from the toe where the elephant has moved across. This is a nice big female, so for a sense of scale, perspective of scale, I'm going to pop my handprint in there. That's the back foot, so it's smaller than the front foot. You see that there, Dave?
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. And then we've got a myriad of other tracks. Not scare anybody. A myriad of other little tracks here. So this is, oh, that's not going to work, my shadow's in the way. This is a little baby elephant. Probably about 3 or 4 years old, just gauging the size. So the whole herd has wandered through and are now calmly feeding off in the distance, exactly where we can't see them. We haven't spoken about elephant tracks in ages. I thought it might be something quite nice to just chat about. There you go, a sense of scale for you, and the elephants none the wiser for our intrusion. In fact, they've all gone to sleep. Not quite asleep, some of them are feeding. Let me attempt to replug myself in. There we go. Okay, so that was lovely. While we leave our sleepy elephants, Mr. Henry has been successful in tracking down those lions, and I think they're doing what lions do best, which is sleeping off very full tummies.
Hello everybody, we're back. We did find the lions. What a joy, and there they are. They've missed me terribly. They said they missed me, didn't they, Brian?
I did. I heard them.
Exactly. They were very sad not to have seen me while I was away, but I told them not to worry, that there was no need for jealousy, for I found no Kenyan cubs that rivaled these. In fact, I didn't find any at all. So, let's just try and understand which ones these are. It looks to me like we've got the 2 older ones, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, sorry, the 3 older ones. I find it all rather difficult to keep track of. But I think we've got the 3 older ones here, and if to my mind they should be pushing 14 weeks now. There should be the 2 slightly younger ones, which I think should be around 11 weeks now, And then the very little ones, which I think should be about 7 weeks now, don't seem to be around right now. The adults are just the other side of that bush, so we'll go and have a look at them just now. But there's something inescapably uncute about an adult lion sleeping, but a little lion cub that's rolling over and looking around, well, they're very cute, aren't they? Do you think they missed me, Brian?
I do think so.
Ooh. Hello, a brand new viewer with a wonderful, wonderful Twitter handle, Banana Chocolate. Brian, that's a good one. That's probably definitely the best one we've had today.
The tastiest one, at least.
Certainly the tastiest one we've had today. And Banana Chocolate, you say you cannot believe that somebody is live streaming while on safari. Well, Banana Chocolate, if you'd been watching 3 days ago, you'd have seen us streaming from here in South Africa and simultaneously from Kenya, 4,000 kilometers from here. So yes, Safari Live, I think certainly one of the most entertaining live streams on YouTube. And keep watching, and you might be able to see us in various different parts of the globe sometime soon. Beautiful. They are now deeply asleep. I think we'll spend a bit of time here because we don't know what's going on around the other side. So let's just see what these little cubbies do. I mean, Brian, can you actually count how many there are there? I think there should be 5, but I can only confirm the presence of 4. I think they're probably only 4. So maybe the really little ones and one of the other slightly older ones is around the corner there. But you see, the cubs don't ever quite sleep in the same way that the adults do. They move around a little bit and then they get bored and they like to have a play. And the grass sticks in them, so they move, and then they stick their claws into their into their friends. Now you'll also be pleased to know, as we look at that incredible picture shot by Brian, that... Sorry, 1 second. I've forgotten entirely what I was going to say. I wasn't concentrating. Oh yes, the fact that we now have 2 long lenses, so Jamie will also have a long lens. We don't have to worry about one long lens and one shortish one, so that's great. Now Joyce in New Hampshire, you ask a very good question, to which I think I can pretty categorically answer no. You say, do I think that the older cubs might possibly be the offspring of the Matimbas? I think it's almost impossible, Joyce, unless they leapt up here. Oh, sorry, the younger adult lionesses. Yes, I do think that. Absolutely. In fact, it's almost certain. When I arrived here about 1.5 years ago, there was a yearling lioness, and it's almost certain that she was the offspring of one of the Matimbas. So I would say yes, for sure, which means these ones could well be carrying the genes of the Matimbas. They could easily be the grandchildren of the Matimbas, which is quite ironic, don't you think? Good question, Joyce. Thank you. I love that they're so awake. And Debbie, you're in Vancouver and you want to know when the male cubs are going to develop their manes. You will start to see a bit of fluff at the end of a year or so. It will not be impressive. It's a little bit like looking at the beard on a 15-year-old human being. You know, where you just kind of feel sorry for the fellow. It's the same thing with these lions. And then at 2.5, they get a sort of Mohican-style fluffy thing. And that persists for about a year almost. It starts to fill out a bit, but it's only properly full. I mean, the Matimbas, not the Matimbas, the Birminghams have got quite nice manes, and I think they're about 5.5 years old. But they will continue to grow all the time through their lives. But they'll probably reach their most magnificent at around 7 years of age. Look at that. So sweet. I got to tell you, in this heat, I'm very glad not to have a great pile of fur covering my skin like that little cub does. But I don't think it would be quite as cute if it didn't have that fur. It would be like one of those cats, Brian. You know those ones that have no hair on them. What are they called? Remember? I don't remember. I just don't think I'd ever own one. I once met one. I found it a profoundly disturbing experience. That's very good of that lion to stick its head up for us, I feel. Very sweet. Hi Samantha, you're wondering why some of the cubs are slightly darker than the others. Samantha, well, if we look at the one on the far left there, Brian, the one that's got its head down there, that one there, that does have a quite dark head, and you wondering if it hasn't got to do with the age of the cubs relative to each other. I think there's an element of that, yes. It certainly looks to me like the three very small ones, the teddy bear cubs, as I like to call them. They won't be looking like that for long, but I think that they are slightly paler than these ones. So age might have something to do with it. I think you'll find that these guys are also looking pretty dark because they've got quite a lot of buffalo guts on them. They've been lying around here on a buffalo carcass, which is just over my right shoulder here. We'll show it to you. It's just over there, Brian. You'll see it? You'll see it, that thing there? Yes. That there, everybody, is what was a buffalo. Ooh, that's delightful. But I think you'll find that that's what's on the head of quite a few of those little cubs. They will get all the sort of gore and gristle on their heads and the blood, and that will cake and dry there. And then when they eventually go and sort of move off from the kill, that'll be cleaned off by the parents. But I think that's one of the reasons they're looking a little bit like, oh, sorry, my head there. They're looking a little bit like they're different colours. The other thing, of course, is that in the same way that I am dark-haired, or I was dark-haired, of course, but when I had hair, Brian is slightly lighter-haired than me, Kirsten is red-headed, and some of you will be blonde, like Connor. So it is with the cats here. They have slightly different colours, and I mean, I suppose the most extreme example would be a white lion or a leucistic lion, which I've never seen, but there are a few of them around in the wild still. So we certainly don't have any white lions here, but there is difference in the colour. Very soporific, isn't it, Brian? I might pass out. Everybody, this is a very peaceful place to be. The flies are buzzing, and while they're not sitting on us, they're sitting on the buffalo. It's quite a peaceful sound in the background. One or two crickets. One or two birds very far away, but otherwise all is absolute peace. Even for the buffalo, Brian. He's been at peace for a few days now. This is a very good place for them to have caught him, everyone, and that's largely because, of course, it is in an area where he would have struggled to swing around and get away from them. So they would have been able to sneak up on him and, you know, attack him from multiple angles without him being able to see where they were coming from. Now these lionesses, unassisted, but for the last one they had, I think, before this, they have been doing a remarkable job of killing buffalo. And I think that's really impressive, and I think perhaps a testament to the fact that the buffaloes are starting to get a little bit weaker as a result of the drought. Before Brian and I fall asleep here, let's hand you back across to Jamie, get an update from her, and we'll go and have a look at what the adults are doing.
Sounds like a lovely, peaceful scene that you've been enjoying with James. In the meantime, we've been slowly but surely making our way towards Cheetah Plains. Now, this morning on the sunrise safari, there was a report that Karula crossed back onto Djuma. So Karula is the queen of Djuma, a female leopard that we've come to know and love, and she has I mentioned this morning that Herbert would be like a dog with a bone trying to track her down, which he was right up until the point that she crossed south over our boundary and into Chitwa. So unfortunately she has decided for now to abscond to Chitwa. Hopefully she'll be back at some point over the next few days. I feel as though it's been a while since she was last on Safari Live. So that's why we're not looking for Karula. We are, however, following up on another exciting report on another firm favourite of ours. We're heading to Cheetah Plains because apparently the Styx Pride are around. And we might have lions, lots and lots of lions on this afternoon's sunset safari. We're going to go and slowly make our way there, see if we can catch a glimpse of them. They're right close to the Nkoro boundary, which is north of where we can go, but fingers crossed that they will still be around and we'll get to have a chance to look at their lovely little cubs. Slightly less fluffy than our lovely Nkahuma cubs. They have come down with a terrible case of mange, and they're constantly itching and scratching and a little bit uncomfortable, but it's something that we think that they will grow out of. And I, for one, am very keen to get there and do a head count of all the little cubs. They did have 8. I've heard a couple of reports that they now only have 7, but then I spoke to Ephraim this morning and he said he saw 8. So I'm quite keen to go and see for myself whether or not all 8 Styx cubs are still alive and well. So that is our plan for this afternoon, and then of course the variety that Cheetah Plains provides, which includes, as the name suggests, the possibility of a cheetah sighting. Now, yesterday on Brent's, was it yesterday? It was yesterday. Yesterday on Brent's birthday they were on Mala Mala, which is south of our boundary, but there is a good chance that they've decided to come wandering back further to the north. So that I think will be our plan for this afternoon. And a very good afternoon to Farmer John, who has asked, why does it feel as though we enjoy the Nkahuma cubs more than the Styx cubs? Well, I think it's just a matter of where their territories are. So the Nkahumas have been on Djuma, and with their cubs, most of the cubs grew up on Djuma. It's been their core. Their home range has pretty much shrunk for now while they've been raising their 8 little cubs, and as a result we see them more and more frequently, whereas we've got quite a thin strip of Styx lionesses territory. They have come onto Djuma, when was it? It was a couple of weeks ago, but that was a sort of a strange and unexpected movement. Still part of their home range, but it's unusual for them. They've got Nkoro here, they've got Anets here, they've got Chitwa and Mala Mala, and they move about that area quite a lot, which means that they're not always on our traverse area, which is why we don't see them as frequently as we do the Nkahumas. As for enjoying them more than, to be honest, I would say that perhaps I'm fonder of the Nkahumas.
There is Amber Eyes, everybody. She's just over there, and she's sleeping very soundly. Now, I don't know, I wonder if you can tell me, I'm sure you can, if there has been any mating while I've been gone, because she, of course, is part of that incredible video that has gone completely viral, over 5 million views of Amber Eyes hugging one of these cubs. I think it was only 16 seconds long or something. It's a very, very sweet little clip. But she, of course, is not the mother of the cub that she was hugging. She's an auntie. And then there's one of the little teddy bear cubs. They're all here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, everyone's here. So that's very nice to see. And everyone looks fine and healthy. Especially the little teddies. They're very sweet, these things. Do we know if Amber Eyes has been mating, Brian?
Not that I know of.
Not that we know of. But she certainly seemed to be coming into estrus. Ah, okay, but no, we're just getting a report from Buffelshoek, well, actually from the final control via Buffelshoek, that she was seen mating in the last few days. It's unusual that that should be over already, but maybe, you know, Maybe it's just faster for some than others. It could be that she's still in a sort of anestrus situation. That's certainly one of the teddies. In fact, it might be two teddy bears. I think it is actually. I think that's two of the little ones. So sweet. I just love the colour as well. There's such beautiful colour down here in this drainage system. And this is why lions with cubs. Can you imagine the scene, everyone, without these little babies in it? It wouldn't be anything like as entertaining as it is now. Hello, Sherry in Colorado. You say you believe the hairless cat I was talking around is called a sphinx. Is that correct? Goodness gracious. A sphinx. Well, it could well be, Sherry. Thank you for that. Yes, not a cat that I think I would like to purchase myself. I find them slightly eerie. And as you can hear, just one or two birch or starlings in the very far distance, while that little cub plays with a bush. And everything else is fast asleep. Now, I would like to know from all of you, please, hashtag Safari Live, questions@wildit.tv. What do you think is going to happen if Amber Eyes and the other unpregnant lioness have cubs? I think this would be, personally, I believe it would be a fascinating time, because there is this drought, and if it maintains, even for the next few months, I think that this pride could suddenly find itself going from 5 very quickly to almost 15 or 20 lions, and surviving, simply because the drought, I think, is making it pretty easy for them to hunt, pretty easy for them to get the things that they want to eat and the things that they need to produce the milk to feed little cubs like this. So I think this is a really excellent time. Obviously it's quite by chance, and it is due to the Birmingham Boy takeover that they are suddenly now sort of able to hunt so effectively and have cubs during a drought season. But I think it is probably quite a good thing. And I'm certainly not hearing, while we sit here and ponder the drought and its effect on the predators, which we always said, remember we said we thought it was going to have a particularly good effect on the predator populations, and it certainly seems to have done that as far as the Nkuhuma pride is concerned. Not much in the way of song yet from any kind of migratory bird. Now, Brian, can we go across to this little fella over here? Because I think he's eating a tambuti tree. Now, if he was a human baby, he wouldn't survive longer than the night if he chewed on that thing. But clearly the lion's vastly superior acidic digestive system is able to cope with the toxins in a tambuti tree. It is a little tambuti. Very sweet little cub asserting its independence. I wonder if that isn't the young male. No, there are 2 males and 1 female, that's right, in this little litter. He is now in full chew, as it were. Filled with a nasty toxin, such that if you try and cook on that wood, everybody, you can actually kill yourself. Not a recommended firewood, Brian.
No.
I just find these things too cute. Does everyone agree with my aging of the cubs? Please let me know if you disagree. I would be very happy to hear from you if you think that I have got the ages wrong. So just to reiterate, I said 14 weeks, 11 weeks and 7 weeks. I think that's what we've got here. So what you're looking at there is a 7-week-old cub, I think. So here's an interesting comment from Janet. And Janet, while just before we consider these things, this little cub's given herself a fright. It's a little lioness. She's come so close to us and then realized that we were looking at her. So I think she's 14 weeks old. I think I think she's tapping on the head of, no, hang on a second. I think that one is, yeah, I'm getting a little bit confused here. I think that's actually a 11-week-old. And then, Brian, if we go across to the two males playing here, there we got quite clearly one that's smaller than the other, and that's a 7-week-old, and I think one of the 14-week-olds. So, Janet, nice one from you. You say you were amazed by the space and amazing parts of the Mara, but you think you prefer the Sabi sand. But I think what you've done is give the key to why that is the case for you. You say because you've been watching for a long time, this feels familiar to you. It does, but more than that, probably, Janet, we know these animals. And that is the key for what we do. It's all very well for us to show spectacles, which is what we did in the Mara. But of course, the joy of watching on a daily basis is that you get to know the animals, don't you? You get to know these animals as individuals. You know Amber Eyes, you know Karula and Shongile and Hosanna and Shadow and Sindile, and you watch these little cubs grow up almost on a daily basis. And what you'll find, Janet, I think, is that the more time we spend in a place like the Mara, so the more we will be able to understand the animals in the same way we'll be. At the moment, it's very difficult, of course, because we've only just got there. We don't really know the lay of the land. We're still figuring that all out. But you're absolutely right. I know exactly what you mean when you say that this feels like home, and I think it's just because we're familiar. These are our characters, and any great story's got characters of a certain kind, certain stereotypes. The one, you know what was quite easy, though, as Graham said to me, is we were watching those crocodiles killing the wildebeest, and he made a very good point as he was filming, sometimes sharp and sometimes slightly blurry, and he won't mind me saying that. One of the things that stood out was that for a crocodile, no one wants the crocodile to win. Everyone wants the crocodile to lose. So we watched the crocodile killing those wildebeest, and no one wanted it to succeed. Everyone was rooting for the wildebeest to escape. But when you watch a lion killing a buffalo, the same is not. And you're almost torn. You hate the bellowing and suffering of the buffalo, but at the same time, you want the lions to kill. You want them to be able to eat and enjoy and survive. And so that's the one part of the Mara that was very easy from a character point of view. A crocodile is the ultimate villain. Now, something who is not an ultimate villain, Jamie Patterson, and she is on cheetah plains, not with cheetah, oh no, but with some more lions. We're still live. Luckily, everybody, I did not say any bad words. It was very close. I nearly started to sing a small song there. Did you notice that, Brian?
I did. I almost joined in.
I went, and then we stopped. Whew. The TriCaster froze, everybody. That is a piece of sophisticated machinery that Louise is now attacking with a hammer in order to make it function properly. Hit it harder, Louise. That way it will work. So Jamie is on Cheetah Plains, and she does have the Styx Pride, but we're not going across there just yet. Right. Louise has finished beating the TriCaster into submission. Let's go and see how Jamie's doing.
I'm not sure if anyone's ever told Lou, at least, not to be quite so heavy-handed with our equipment, but nevertheless, we have come upon some more lions, and the reports of the Styx and their lovely cubs, and, as a lovely surprise as well, one Birmingham boy to complete the familial picture. And as always with our lovely Styx cubs, there's at least one on a termite mound. There's actually two. And the fantastic thing about them is that they're constantly busy, up and moving. Well, shame I say that. It's probably because they're constantly itchy as well. They're always up and about. The last time I saw the Styx cubs, you know, in The Lion King, where there's the good lions and the bad lions, these poor little chaps look so the opposite of our beautiful coddled and Kuhuma lions. It is, of course, because they have a skin infection called mange, which is a horrible parasite, and it really clearly is very irritating for them. Unfortunately, it's a naturally occurring disease, and there is absolutely nothing we can do for them. Luckily, it seems as though there's a very good chance that they will grow out of it, since the older ones seem to be less affected than the younger ones. And there we have one resting completely peacefully. Hello, gorgeous. Just a quick update for those of you who are watching us. We will be having a school drive this afternoon, so when we suddenly change our tone and our theme and start to take questions from school kids and other such sources, that's just because we regularly do drives for school children across the world, which is something that I find incredibly special and unbelievably valuable in terms of the positive things that wild earth and safari life can bring to this world, and conservation in general. And bear with me one moment, we can watch the lioness sleeping in the sun. How's it, Mike? How are you? Hi, guys. Just greeting one of the other, well, Mike from Cheetah Plains and his guests, who have enormous grins plastered across their faces. So, I think let us try and reposition, change ourselves up slightly and go and take Mike's place where he was in the shade. But before we do, look who's up. Oh, they've grown so much. Look how big you've got. You're like a proper little lion now. Almost. Not quite. Interestingly enough, none of them seem too bothered about the fact that they're all lying up in the blazing sunshine. Admittedly, there's not much in the way of shade around here, but they definitely don't seem to be too concerned. There we go. Settling in comfortably. Right. Let us do a head count quickly from what we can see here, and then we'll change our perspective. Are there any cubs hiding behind that female? I don't think so. And there you go, Roger. For those of you, and for all of those of you who are concerned about our Styx cub, let's try and do a head count. There's nobody hiding behind that female that I can see. No. So then we've got one on top of the termite mound that I can see. Then one slightly below on the right of the male. Then there's one that is completely hidden in the patch of dirt, lying on the ground behind that tree. Believe it or not, that is a lion cub. And there's two there. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's reposition and do another head count. So we've got 5 here that I can see. There might be more that side, but let's go and investigate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There might be some on the other side of the termite mound, resting in the shade. Oh! And now? All seems to be okay. We're going forward. We did a very strange pop into neutral there. Okay. Oh, sometimes our vehicles have their idiosyncrasies. I'm missing something here. I don't want to scare a cub, because I'm only counting 5. Oh, does she have some attached to her? No. I don't see any. We've got a slightly different perspective. Doesn't look like she's got any little ones attached there. Perhaps some of them are resting on the other side of the termite mound. Because I definitely have only counted 5 so far. 6. Sorry, there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's try one more reposition and pop ourselves in the shade as well. The Styx cubs are slightly older, so they do move further afield at times from the adults. Aha! I see you, little scamp.
Up top.
Up top. Here's number 6. Hello, little one. Head peeking up over the top with its halo of fluffy fur. Isn't that lovely? A very beautiful scene. Right, shall we try do a full loop around the termite mound and then come back here? Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello, little ones. I promise we will settle down and watch these lions properly in a moment. I just wanted to try and do a head count. Doesn't help my head count if you don't sit still, little one. Yes, you plonk yourself down there. Okay, 2 up at the top, 2 down at the bottom, 2 down on the left. Let's do one loop and see if we can't figure out where the others are. I'm really, really hoping that we count 8 this afternoon. We're going to just proceed with caution, make sure that we don't scare anybody, because I don't know where all of them are. There's some tracks, off-road tracks, vehicle tracks going off in that direction, but I doubt that's... So we've got 3 adult females, which is normal for the Styx Pride, and now 6 cubs. It's a bit of a tricky area. Keeping your eyes peeled, Dave. We're just going to sidle around here. It's not looking good. We've come full circle around this female. She definitely doesn't have any little ones attached to her. No, no babies there. Where are you, little munchkins? Oh, that's cute. Tucked on top of the termite mound. That was the late arrival. That came and sat on the top of the termite mound. So far... Aha! I see you. Number 7. Can you see it there, Dave? There we go. Perfect. Thank you. Here's number 7. So there we go, much further afield than I was expecting, which is why we were going so slowly there, to try and get around them. Okay. So far it's looking like 7. I'm doing some serious searching for the 8th, but I'm not seeing it. Well, as it starts to get cooler, then perhaps they'll be wandering around a little bit more, and we will be able to get a more accurate head count. But I think, unfortunately, it is looking as though one of the Styx cubs has not made it. I'm hoping that's not the case. It could be that it succumbed to its skin condition, simply got too weak and too infected and couldn't keep up with the pride. But we don't know that just yet. You can see that they really are struggling. It's definitely worse than when I last saw them, which was what I was hoping not to see. Shame, little ones. Little scabby creatures. And isn't this an incredibly pleasant afternoon? We've had Styx cubs and Kahuma cubs. I said we've got lion cubs coming out of our ears, and it certainly seems to be the case. They're just everywhere at the moment, and we're not for, well, certainly I'm not for one going to complain, and I doubt any of you are either. A very warm welcome to Caroline Altman and all of the teachers at the Virginia Beach Teachers Conference. It is lovely to have you on board. Just a quick introduction. My name is Jamie, and behind me sits a gentleman called Dave, who is actually pretty much the one responsible for this whole deal. He's the one directing the camera and bringing you all of these incredible images. Now, we are coming to you live from the middle of the African bush in a place called the Sabi Sands, which is essentially a 4 million hectare, 8.5 million acre wildlife protected area in South Africa. And what an amazing place it is as well. We're currently sitting with a pride of lions that we have come to know as the Styx lions, and they're hopefully 8, maybe 7 little cubs. And last time I saw them, they had 8. I've only managed to count 7 this time around. But there are our lovely ladies, snoozing away, doing what lions do best. In this case, sleeping. They have recently eaten a meal. They're still a little bit hungry, but they have eaten recently. They've been treated to some extraordinary sights of this lion pride lying right out in the open. They're the little ones, 2 of them, sitting on top of a termite mound, playing with a branch just like a kitten. You will notice that they are bald in places and they've got some scabby skin, and that is because they are infected with mange, which is naturally occurring out here. Some lions get it, some lions don't, and unfortunately our little Styx cubs haven't been terribly fortunate and they have got it, which is why, as you can imagine, it is something that is quite contagious, particularly for a cat as social as a lion. Oh, big stretch. It's exhausting work doing all that growing. You little ones, desperately trying to find a comfortable spot. Now, we are very fortunate here in that the animals, although they are completely wild, are entirely accustomed to our presence, and as a result, us driving around doesn't have an impact on them at all. We're just a part of their everyday landscape. That's not to say that there's no level of interaction, but generally we can just move about without disturbing them in any way. Now, Caroline has sent us through our first question, which is, how old are these cubs? Now, Caroline, they are just a little bit older than another set of cubs that we have on another property called Juma. Now, these little cubs are probably in the region of between 4 to 5 months old. There's 3 actually different age groups within the Styx cubs, as far as I know. One must be close to about 5 months old, 4.5, 5 months. The others are slightly younger, and then there's a very, very young, used to be a young pair. I've only seen one of them that must be in the region of about maybe just 4 months old. So it's when they're born, lion cubs are hidden away by their mothers. They don't have them around the pride, and it's only in about 6 weeks that they start to move about with the rest of the pride. Bob, lovely to have you on board. Bob would like to know about the different skin conditions that the little cubs get. And Bob, if you don't mind, I'm going to try and answer your question once I've repositioned. I want to actually try and get around and show you the other little cubs that are on the other side of this termite mound. So we'll chat about Bob's question in a moment. I've got to be careful because there's lion cubs absolutely everywhere. That little one, sneaking and sleeping all the way over there, was a recent spot. I didn't even know that it was there. Now let's try and do this very, very carefully. So Bob, mange is the big one in terms of diseases or skin diseases at least, that lions get. There's 2 types. There's sarcoptic and there's one other type of mange. This is not sarcoptic mange, which is the most serious of the mange types. They also get, the other one is called demodistic, and they are The sarcoptic is far worse than the demodistic. This is the demodistic mange as far as we know. Fatality rates, I'm afraid I can't tell you exactly. It'll differ from pride to pride, and it depends so much on other circumstances as well, including food availability, that it's impossible to give you an exact fact and figure. There's also occasionally lions get fungal infections, and then they also get skin diseases that are related. Sorry, I'm just going to, squeeze past a tree. You okay there, Dave? Cool. They also get fungal infections and then diseases related to tuberculosis. Now, TB is a disease that a lot of the different animals of the Kruger National Park carry. Most of them don't exhibit any symptoms until they get a little bit older and a little bit weaker. And some will never exhibit symptoms at all. But with that comes sort of bulbous protrusions from the joints of the animals. And then you get the other, just in terms of lots of different types of diseases, you get the other types of diseases like rabies, which is also naturally occurring, and then FIVs, feline immunodeficiency virus, as well as feline distemper. Those are all possibilities for as naturally occurring diseases. There we go, a tranquil scene that we have come upon. Aren't they absolutely lovely? There's the littlest one on the left of your screen, hidden away, lying completely flat on the ground. So that's one of the youngest of the Styx cubs, fast asleep. And it seems as though the youngest ones have been the ones that have been the worst affected by this particular mange outbreak. Unfortunately for us, there's just nothing that we can do to help them. We've just got to hope that they grow out of it. And there we go, one of the potential fathers of the Styx cubs. I say potential because he is one of 4 males, known as the Birmingham Boys. And he is one of the dominant males of this area. So him and his buddies will have been responsible for the mating with the females and now the protection of their brand new cubs. And speaking about lions and all the extraordinary things we can see out here, let's head across to James and see what he's looking at.
And we're back, everybody, with these tiny little cubbies. And with that, I must welcome the Virginia Beach Teachers Conference with Mrs. Altman. I believe you are in charge there. Good on you. I hope everyone's behaving themselves in an acceptable fashion. We're having a wonderful time here with the Nkahuma Pride, which provides the bulk of our lion viewing. And quite unlike those Styx cubs, who possibly are still looking a little bit ropey as a result of possibly some parental neglect and possibly some inexperience on their part, these cubs are in very, very fine condition indeed. You see they're fat and healthy and playing, their fur is in a great state, and they're having a wonderful time as their mothers and aunts sleep away the afternoon, which is a wonderful way to spend the afternoon, of course. Well, Sarah, you want to know what they want to eat, Sarah? We'll show you. Brian, who's on camera today, is going to show you now what they have been eating for the last 2 days or so. It's just over there. And it is a buffalo, which ain't smelling too fly at this stage. Really starting to rot. They've eaten most of it. They'll probably be here, I guess, till maybe the middle of tonight. Maybe tomorrow morning they'll be around, but they've just about finished that carcass, and then they'll head off. So buffalo they've been eating quite a lot of lately. You'll also find they'll eat things like impala, nyala, wildebeest, zebra. But I think probably the bulk of their food here is probably impala. Although we only see them on big kills like that, they probably knock off the odd impala during the night. An impala sort of medium-sized antelope of about 150 pounds or so, big male. And they'll devour that within sort of an hour or so. And so if they do kill at night, I think it's highly unlikely that we would even see the impala that they kill. And certainly research would indicate that that's the bulk of what they eat out here. There's a little pile of 3 lionesses, which is really quite amusing. And what a joy it is to be able to do this. And of course, I know for the teachers' conference, I mean, what a wonderful thing for kids to be able to look at. Unbelievable sights of little cubs and their mothers. We've been sitting here probably for the best part of an hour now, Brian and I, and just having a wonderful time here. And if you have just joined us, which of course many of you have, this is a pride of 5 lionesses. The most notable one being the one that's just turned over now in front of the one that's yawning with those vast teeth. The most notable one there is Amber Eyes, and she's called Amber Eyes, Brian, because?
She has amber eyes.
That is correct, because she has amber eyes. Well done, Brian. 1 point to you. Barb, on the back end of my explanation, I've completely forgotten what you asked, so I'm going to ask Louise to tell me again, Huisi, if you don't mind. Sorry, Barb, I did completely forget your question. Oh, Barb, you want to know how long they spend sleeping each day? Well, you know, an adult lion sleeps almost as much as a teenage human being, about 20 hours of the day. Barb? That's about how long they sleep for. So that's quite a long time, really. But these little ones don't seem to sleep anything like that long, and I think you'll find that's because they're all still drinking milk. Milk, of course, is largely, or there is a lot of fat in milk. And the thing with lots of fat in milk is that it gives energy. You can move around without too much expense. It's not expensive to move around when you're operating on fat. But if you're operating purely on protein, which of course the adults must do, then it is very different. It becomes very difficult to process, very difficult to create energy from a protein-based diet only. Hello, Caroline. You want to know how far away from Jamie is. In other words, how far away is the Nkahuma Pride from the Styx Pride? The answer there, as the crow flies, is probably about 5 miles. As the crow flies, so 8 kilometers, 5 miles or so. I'm not exactly sure where on Cheetah Plains those other lions are, but it's probably roughly that. And they are conjoining territories. There's very little overlap between their territories, so those sticks will sometimes come onto the southern parts of Djuma, which is where I'm sitting, and Jamie is off in the east on Cheetah Plains. The Nkahuma Pride probably has a territory of roughly 6,000 hectares, which is 60 square kilometers, which is roughly 445 square miles. Also, they are so funny, these things. And even the adults are getting up now. I think it's because they're being woken by these little cubs. Hi, Sarah. This is a common question, of course, especially as we look at the teeth of the lioness there, those enormous canine teeth. They look very dangerous, and you say, have any of the guides here ever been attacked by a lion here? Sarah, no, they haven't. Not in this particular area. Yes, it has happened. It's highly unlikely to happen. You really would have to irritate a lion very severely to make it attack you in a car. They don't see the car as something that is either good to eat or something that is particularly threatening. If we were here on foot, then the response would be entirely different, and so you have to be very careful if you're going to you've got to be very careful if you're going to go and if you're going to track lions with cubs on foot, you have to be very careful. Isn't this too sweet for words? Now they will all cross-suckle from each other, and now they're just starting, the little cubs are starting to get active, and they're starting to yowl and make those lovely sounds that make them the most gorgeous animals out here to watch. And just like with human beings, it's so much more fun if Dad and Mum want to play as well. Ah, this is wonderful. Too special. And Sandra, you say, are all these cubs still nursing? Sandra, they are. They will be until they're about 6 months old. So 6 months is basically when lions stop nursing, or when they wean. They will all be eating meat, though. Well, maybe not the little ones. I haven't seen the little ones trying to eat meat just yet. But the 14-week-old and the 11-week-old ones will almost certainly be eating meat as we speak. Well, not as we speak, but they are definitely eating meat. And they will wean slowly, and by the time they're 6 months old, you'll find that they're completely weaned. This is so sweet. I'm playing there. Hello, Shirley, the assistant principal. You say that you want to know, do these lions have names, and if not, could you give them names, and could you call one Shirley? Shirley, I suppose you could. I'm not sure that we are going to name them just yet, but yes, eventually what would happen is that the lions might be given names. We don't normally name the individuals in a pride. We name the leopards, and we know the name of the pride. But if the animals are named, they're normally named by senior guides, and they're normally given Shangaan names, which is the local language here. And so Shirley is not a common name for lions. Have you ever heard of a lion called Shirley, Brian? No. Max, you hear that, everybody? A little bit of anger there. Max, you want to know how far lions can hear? Max, I'm led to believe that lions are able to make calls over sort of a distance of probably about 10 kilometers, 6 miles or so. I think you'll probably find that they can hear each other even further off than that. So I'm going to say about 10 miles. She's going off to the kill now to have something to eat from that rather... Oh, no, she's not. Is she, Brian?
No.
No, she's making a wee-wee.
Wonderful.
Lovely. And I'm glad you're enjoying this, everybody. Remember, of course, this is very hard work for us, isn't it, Brian?
It is.
It's exhausting.
Mm.
It really is. Sitting here with lions and calling this job work is very tiring. So thank you for appreciating it, everybody. Brian and I appreciate it. It's such a joy. And in case you're wondering what that noise is, I'm taking pictures, but I'm taking pictures with a new, well, not a new camera, but a newish camera that we're just testing out. So far, in my opinion, it makes such a vulgar noise that I think we might have to not use it. Listen to this, everyone. Eesh. Hello, Sarah. You want to know about dogs and want to know whether they have better hearing than lions do. I don't know that it's possible to say. I'll tell you why, Sarah. I think they hear probably a different frequency. So dogs, certainly wild dogs out here, have got they've got very large ears, and they've got large ears because they hear quite high frequency sound. And what you find with cats is that they make much more low frequency sounds, oh, 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 and then they make that lovely roaring sound, of course, which will really shake the bones in your chest. And so I think you'll probably find that they listen to slightly different frequencies, and therefore it's probably quite difficult to say whether they've got better or worse hearing than each other. I think you'll probably find that lions are able to hear over slightly longer distances, certainly. Yeah, you hear that call? Calling the little ones? Some very cute stuff going on behind us, everybody. Alright, over there, her cubs, hopefully. I know she just laying down over there. I hope that you're able to join us, especially with your young classes. We find that one of our greatest missions, of course, is to try and create young champions of the wilderness. So join us later, hopefully, with your classes of kids. Until then, have a good afternoon, and well, try not to sleep in your meeting. Bye-bye. For the rest of you, we're going to stay right where we are. I see absolutely no reason to move. Do you, Brian?
No.
No. I'm just going to get on the radio. I might have to quickly just make sure who's coming here and who isn't. And I think they've gone off to Tingana, who I think is on Biffle's hook. So Tingana's fine. I don't want to move just yet, everybody. We've got a nice view here. The other lioness is sort of suckling 3 of the cubs. They are making a bit of a noise, so it might be quite nice to move just now, but I'm in a bit of a bushy spot, and I fear we might disturb them. I think that's the mother of the little ones who's just walked off there. I think that one there is the mother of those older ones there. Shall we move, Brian?
Yeah, let's try.
You're going to try and move, everybody. Let's see what we can get from the other side. There's the sun streaming through the trees. And I'm very insulted, everybody. Nobody's complimented me on my new hat.
What a lovely hat, James.
Thank you, Brian.
Oh, it's a splendid
You were the first. Right, while we move and try and get into another position, and I just contemplate the insensitivity of everybody who hasn't noticed my hat, let's go to Jamie and get an update from her on Cheetah Plains.
Right, well, we have left the Styx Lions, and we've left the Styx Lions for a very good reason. We are racing towards the report of a female leopard. Now, unfortunately, my quickest way was barred by one of the biggest elephant bulls I've seen since I've started working here, and he very, very clearly gave me a very clear message that he'd rather I didn't come that way. So I'm going to take him at his word, or at least at his body language, and go around. It's just the way it has to be. He is much bigger than I am, and I'm not going to tangle with him. It's also his home, which is fair enough. So we have to race all the way around. I'm really, really hoping that this particular leopard is Inkanyeni. I haven't seen her before, so I'm desperately hoping that that is the case. So poor Dave is bouncing around on the back, clinging on for dear life with his fingernails and his teeth. Not quite. But he does look like he's enjoying himself, so, you know. Right, hold on. Wheel spin, and round we go. Whee! Now we have to find her. She's a beautiful elephant bull, by the way. Whoopsie. Absolutely stunning. Okay. Still got a bit of ground to cover now. Taking the long way round. I'm pretty sure that it is Inkanyeni. Chene reported her tracks coming south from Nkoro, and perhaps today is the day that I finally get to see her. I've been starting to feel horribly left out. Everybody else has seen her except for me. Dave, you've seen her twice. Yes. Okay, that's my jump. Okay, we're good. We're not even on the right road yet. Whee! She is going north, which means she could well pop out around Nkoro, which is, we would hope to get there before she does that. I haven't seen Inkanyeni's cubs either. It doesn't sound like they're with her right now, but you never know. She might be on her way to fetch them.
might be 200 meters. Okay, copy. Just where do you think I can stand by if it does cross? Yeah, I can do like the eastern side of Java base. Right in the water tank. Copy, thank you. Okay, copy. I'll keep an update. Yeah, hopefully that you got now.
Sounds like she's getting closer and closer to the cut line. Fingers crossed, everybody, that we get there in time. So while I concentrate on working out exactly where she is, I'm going to send you back across to James to find out how his repositioning's going.
We repositioned by the princely sum of about 3 meters, everybody. But well, this is where we were going to come. Excuse me. Right.
Oh, James, I'll put you on the back.
Hit me on the back. Thank you.
Black lung.
I got a black lung from inhaling the Nairobi smoke. Right. What we're going to do is there seem to be some activity at the kill site. So let's go back there. While Jamie drives at high speed to a leopard sighting, which is probably of Nkanyeni, which would be rather nice. Brian, would you please observe behind us so that I don't drive either into the Tambo Thai tree or the enormous hole on the left-hand side. While I was in the Mara, everybody, of course, there is a big river there called, unsurprisingly, the Mara River. And some great pillock drove himself into the Mara River while trying to view some wildebeest crossing, which was thoroughly amusing. Not for his guests, of course. They didn't find it amusing. I don't think they laughed at all, in fact. Now, a good question about how these animals get sufficient nutrition if they only eat meat. Well, sorry, Louise, can you just tell me who that's from again? Daniel. Hello, Daniel. Daniel, they get enough nutrition simply because there is enough nutrition in meat. They also eat bones, of course. They eat bone marrow, they eat sinew, they eat a lot of the organs, which are full of fat. That's a very pretty little picture over there, which we'll just stop at briefly. So, Daniel, that's how they get sufficient, and they've got the digestive system that's able to extract sufficient nutrition. It's not like with you. If you only ate meat, you would obviously become very sick quite quickly. Right, I don't know how long Jamie's going to be with this animal, so let's nip across to Nkanyeni and find out what's happening there.
We've got a really limited time to spend with her, so I had to get you to jump on board as quickly as possible. I have just caught a glimpse of the wonderful leopard in front of us, and she is just in front of us. Can you see her there, Dave? Here we go. Who have we got here? She's going straight towards the boundary. Alright, sorry, let's try and keep up with her, get a better view before she disappears completely. And the wonderful news is that it seems like it is Nkanyeni. My first time seeing her. So exciting. And a big thank you to Ephraim, who called us in to bring us here. And what's fascinating is that her tracks go back on themselves. So I wonder whether or not there's a possibility that she's made a kill and perhaps she's going to fetch the cubs. She might just have been hunting, though. Now, often when leopards crisscross around each other, or backwards and forwards, it means that they're either doing some hunting and some scouting. Hello, gorgeous. Oh, I really hope we can get a nice view of her. Just forward a bit. She's just there. Am I being silly? There you go, you got her. Well done, Dave. Let's just stop for 1 second and see where she goes. This is my first encounter with Nkanyeni. So I'm giving her a little bit of space. I don't know her as well as I know our other leopards. She seems absolutely fine from what I've heard. Okay, this is going to be tricky, everybody. We'll just wait till she starts moving. Isn't she lovely? Yay! Finally! She's definitely on the hunt. She's looking across, alert, looking to see what she can find and spot. She's walking us straight back to where that enormous elephant blocked our path initially, so we might get to see him as well, in an interesting turn of affairs. She's a little bit further than the boundary than I thought she was initially, which is really good news for us. Okay. Sure, here we go. We're going to try and stick with her. It's going to be tricky. We're going to have to go round here, I think. Okay, let's try and keep an eye on where she is. She's going straight towards that termite mound. I'm sure she's going to go up on it. Oh. Squeeze through here. Cutting it fine. Okay, I think our best approach is going to be to try and sneak through here. And hope she pops out on the other side of that termite mound. Cheetah plains can be tricky in places, but we'll manage. We'll manage. Here we go. Can we make it through here, Dave? Here we can. Oh, goodness gracious. I think Dave's bum left the seat there. Sorry, Dave. She should pop out just round here. Everybody keep your eyes peeled for that fluffy tip. You got her? Oh. Oh, perfect. Well done. Where? Should we try sneak through there? Oh, there we go. Yes, I got her. Well done, Dave. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. Getting myself into trouble here. But I can see her properly for the first time, and you will too in a moment. You okay? There she goes. Isn't she stunning? In this glorious late afternoon light. And James Richard, thank you so much. James has said yay, that he's glad that I get to see Nkanyeni finally, and that he is sure that I will comment on how very feminine she looks. She's a very ladylike leopard. I have definitely heard that report from many different sources, James, so I'm sure that will be my conclusion too. So far, she's treading with a dainty step, although that does describe quite a few leopards that I know. Oh boy. Are you ready for this? Impenetrable wall of trees in front of me. There you go, there's an example of the impenetrable wall with some spots behind it. Okay. We can do this. We can do this. I am determined. And the boundary is so close, I want to spend as much time as... Whoa, you're right there, Dave. As possible with her. I'm going to have a flat tire. It will be the second flat tire that Dave and I have changed today. Are you ready for that, Dave? Okay, I give up on the antenna for now. So We might not be able to hear your questions terribly clearly initially. Okay. Are you okay there, Dave? Oh, I think we're going to do this. We're going to manage it. We might take half of Cheetah Plains' vegetation home with us. Okay, now what? Which way are you going, girl? I think we're going to have to go this way. Standing by? She's changed now. She's going more west. I'll keep you updated. Sorry, everybody. Just keeping everybody updated as to her movements. So far, little Wendy is the only vehicle that's managed to negotiate the tight turns. Oh, she's going up on the termite mound. Yes. Come on, girl. I think we could do this. I think we can get around. Okay. Hold on, Dave. Wow. Look at that. Isn't she stunning? Fantastic. Sorry, everybody. All that excitement is giving me the cough. Staring off into the setting sun, it definitely doesn't get more atmospheric than this. Now, luckily it seems as though, despite my bundu bashing, I can actually hear your questions coming through, which is of a tremendous relief, considering I managed to knock the antenna down right flat. So obviously we found ourselves in a good communication spot, which means that we can hear all of your questions coming through. And just like that, she's perfectly still in the fluttering grass. A quick double check and clean along her back. Oh, look at that. Isn't that too gorgeous for words? And we are so incredibly fortunate to be in this position, looking at a creature as magnificent as this with her beautiful profile. Jeepers, that's gorgeous. Sorry, I mean, I don't ever get jaded, but this is really stunning. Really, truly beautiful. Rob would like to know, why is it none of our animals are afraid of us? Well, that is where we're so... Oh, wow. I've lost my words. Sorry, Roth, not Rob. Roth, it's because after sort of 40, 50, even 60 years of this area being a conservation area, these animals have been treated with the utmost of respect. It takes a lot of hard work to habituate a wild animal to the presence of vehicles, but it's something that's been done, and we have generations before us to thank for the hard work that they've put in, which means that every single one of the animals we see today has grown up with vehicles being as much a part of their landscape as the trees and the termite mounds. And we're always very, very careful to respect that completely. In other words, we don't abuse that privilege, but it does allow us to sit and watch them in their natural habitat. They don't view vehicles as people per se, although I do think they know that people sit in them. And we're not a threat. They don't associate us with any bad things. And as a result, we get to sit and spend time with them in a truly special and memorable way. Oh, hello, gorgeous. Now, my first time seeing Nkanyeni, and the setting just doesn't get better than this. And she's even decided to halt her northern movement towards the northern side of our traverse area and into Nkoro, and to pose for us. Now, sorry guys, I just need to help guide one of the other vehicles in. Standing by.
Are you moving or are you static?
She's just gone static on top of a termite mound here.
Okay, no problem. We've got your audio.
And it seems as though I thought it was going to be Lion Day today, but that has not been the case at all. It's been Lion and Leopard Day. Let's go and see which particular spotted cat James has found.
Central Walkley coming.
It is Tingana, everybody, the dominant male leopard of the Greater Djuma region. Tingana, magnificent male leopard. Taxon found him in that huge jackalberry tree on the Gowrie cut line, the most massive example of that great tree here on Djuma. He was lying on top of it. Thankfully, we hadn't gone past that tree, but so often, we go past these trees and we miss the cats lying in them. But that was not the case this time. Then he climbed down and he came into this beautiful glade where we're surrounded now and backlit by the sun that is starting to set in amongst the sort of semi-deciduous tambuti trees, which are casting the most spectacular light on this area. Now, this leopard is only about 150 meters from, that's about 400 feet, well, just shy of 400 feet. Oh, look, he's moving. I think the lions are coming this way. He's not far from the lions. So he's really not far from the lions at all. You see how he looked up there? I wonder if he didn't pick up the sound of them feeding, perhaps. Now we're going to drive along this little road, and I've always wanted to use this word on a live safari. This isthmus, as in the Isthmus of Suez, the spit of land that extends into the watercourse, and we'll see how far along we're able to get before we... Oh, look at that picture. Look at that, everyone. That is just too gorgeous. Isn't that lovely? Oh, look at him. That is so pretty. Alright, I don't know if we'll get too much more of a view of him, but let's try. And if we don't, well, we'll go back to the lions. That is presuming, or assuming, that I have not destroyed the steering column by then. You see, Brian, we're on isthmus. It's actually more a peninsula, I suppose, isn't it? I can still see the leopard. Can you see him, Brian? Well, that is good. Oh, did you get a fright? I did. I'm still having a fright. There is something of a cliff face, everybody. What am I hitting there? A little stump?
Yeah, you just slightly.
We're at more than slightly a bad angle now. Shall I go to the right? There is a small matter of this very large tambuti tree on the right. Now what have I hit? Yeah. Hang on. I'm not sure that I can. I think we're going to get stuck on this tree. Phew. Okay, let's reevaluate that. That was a little scary. Over it. Let's try and do that, everyone. Sorry about this. Okay, I'm going to go for it. Here we go. Alright. I think Taxon got out and saw the leopard. I think he is still with the leopard the other side there. Whether we can do the same as the nimble Tingana, I'm not so. We'll probably get down here, Brian, if I angle the vehicle correctly. I'm astounded we still have signal. This is very good news indeed. Woo! Okay, we're out. Now, let me just ask Tax if he's still got him. Tax, have you still got visual there? I can't copy him. Tax, I thought did you see him come out there? Oh, we got him. Copy, we did get across things. Blinding light in front of us, everybody. Our star, no longer covered 40% by the moon. Horrible noise, trees swacking us in the face. I hope you're all okay, haven't lost your teeth. He's now heading, everyone, straight towards the pan at the Djuma Dam. So keep an eye on the Djuma Dam camera. See what's going on there. And the Impala alarm calling there. No, don't keep an eye on the Djuma Dam cam. It's currently not functional. Not sure why. Right, let's go through here. It's rather hellish driving into the sun like this. But I'd quite like to spend a little bit of time with Tingana in the dimming light, and it does clear up a little bit in front of us. No, we can see the dam cam, so keep an eye on that. I wonder if he's not going to go and have a drink there, everyone. Now, while we drive through here, I apologize for the noise. There are the Impala in front of us. You can hear them shouting. But what I must just tell you, there, he's close by. We will find him. I must just tell you is that he went east off the big tree. He sat down there where we saw him. Now he's turned west. And so you can imagine if you'd been tracking him and he'd done that, you'd assume that if he'd moved off in an easterly direction, that's what he'd continue to do. But what I think you'll find is that he went that way on the smell of that meat. He probably heard the lions, maybe the cubs calling. You saw him look up there, then he turned and he came back this way. There he is, I can see him now. I think he's probably trying to find something to drink. So I know you can't see him, but we can see him, and it's just a little bit difficult through here at the moment. Brian, watch your head here. Oh, there's a very large stump. We're over it. You can still see him. He's just off there. We will try and get into a position where you too can see him, everyone, so that I don't hog the sighting to myself. There are waterbuck over there, Impala over there, leopard there, but he's in such a bright light right now. Brian, you might describe this as a blindathon. Sorry about the noise. Alright, we'll get a view for you now, everyone. Okay. Let's just see if we can get one there. Let's just have a quick look there. Ah, thank you very much, Gracie, age 9, while we wait to see if we can find Tingana in that thick bush. You say, you did notice my new hat, thank you, Gracie, but you didn't, you had him. Oh, sorry. Sorry, there he is. Gracie, you say you didn't want to mention my new hat as we watch this beautiful leopard walking through this incredibly coloured grey and gold vegetation. You say because you didn't want to remind me of my bald head. Well, thank you, Gracie. That is very kind. Certainly kinder than anyone else in the camp has been. They always remind me of my bald head, you know. Don't you, Brian? Especially with your long locks that you have. Your lusciously long locks. I love leopards in this light, in this vegetation, and while the vegetation itself can look a little harsh, I just think a leopard in this kind of light and in this grey vegetation with the odd copper and gold leaves hanging from them like sort of jewels dripping from the trees, I think the leopard is the most perfect colour. I don't think that's the easiest place to drive though, do you, Brian? Wouldn't describe this as a highway. There he is. We'll stop here. Sorry, Brian. There he is over there. Brian is now stuck in a strychnos bush, everybody. Sorry about that. But there you can have a view of him. Not Brian. That's the leopard. Looking at us as if to say, what are you both trying to do? He's got that slight limp again. It's quite interesting. I don't think it's new. Yeah, we can still see him. Thanks, Tax. Sorry, Janice. Tax was just asking if we could still see the leopard. I'm going to ask you to ask your question again. Well, I'm not. I'm going to ask Louise to read it again. Let's move on. Oh, Janice, you say, do we ever feel in danger of being attacked out here? Sometimes, Janice. By elephants largely. You're right there, Brian. Yep. Elephants are the ones we watch out for the most in the vehicles, I think. I mean, there's certainly been the odd times of late when we've had one or two leopards or lions growling at the car. And then you do feel a certain amount of nervousness. And I mean, we had an amazing sighting, Eggsy and I, the other day, where the lioness with the tiny little babies came right up to the car, to the extent that we couldn't film her because she was so close. And then when they look up at you, you do feel, ooh, okay. But no, if you do feel in danger, it's normally, like I say often, because you haven't read the behavior properly, not sure what the animals are, or you haven't read that they're saying to you, don't come any closer. And the leopard's there. He really has picked quite a spot to go through. We're now gone north of the dam cam, everybody, so I don't think he's going that way anymore. Let's just keep going up this way. And thank you very much for your stunning screenshots of Mr. T, everyone. There he is, you'll see him now, going through the golden light. We'll just get you a view of him before we carry on moving. This is, of course, the great advantage of this long lens, is that we can still view him even though he's quite a long way in front of us. Isn't that beautiful? I think that's just wonderful. You see he's got that slight limp in his left front foot. I don't think it's new. Well, actually, oh, there he is. I couldn't see him with my naked eye. Now I can. And if Brian was to zoom out now, see how long you can see that leopard in this amazing light for. How's that? Isn't that amazing? That's about the view I have with my naked eye. Now you're slightly pulled back from what I can see. Isn't that cool? Just wonderful. I'm going to wait here and see what he does. He's changing direction quite a lot. I think he's on the hunt. Doesn't seem to be marking territory. Doesn't look like he's eaten much of late. And now he's gone to sleep. See that, Brian? Yes. Marvellous. Hold on tight, everyone. Luckily it's a clearing, Brian. There's one problem you don't have in the Mara, you see. Not much of this sort of bushel around. Not many leopards like this around there. Alright, let's go, while we get into position here, let's go back to Nkanyeni and find out what she's doing. I think she's still on her termite mound.
What an incredible afternoon, can you believe it? Styx cubs and Kuma cubs, Tingana, Nkanyeni. It really is extraordinary. I hated to drag you away from Tingana back to Nkanyeni, but we're almost at the boundary of our traverse area. Oh, she's doing some claw sharpening there. She's led us through the ringer, young Nkanyeni, making our lives very, very difficult. But let's reposition one more time. She is finally getting to an open area, but unfortunately it's the open area to the north of our boundary. I love that. Kathy says that Nkanyeni is the Aubrey Hepburn of leopards, and I think that's a beautiful description. And I must say, she did pose so beautifully for us, didn't she, Dave? That was extraordinary. In that lighting, that leopard. Whoopsie. A beautiful girl. Coat in the afternoon light. She is just stunning. Oh, wow. Her tail twitching gently. She is on alert. She is casting about. She's double checking around, making sure everything is safe. I'm going to go around to the front of her. Now, Davina in Illinois. Sorry. I got so excited at the prospect of your question that I simply couldn't hold back the hacking coughs. Sorry, Davina. Davina would like to know if Nkanyeni is in any way related to Karula. Let's just watch her go across here. How's it, honey?
No complaint.
Hey, man. Hi, guys. Okay.
No complaint.
Are you off, or you...
No.
Okay, cool. Shame, that was so polite of him. He went all the way around the back of us to stick with her. Right, where were we? Davina's question. Is she in any way related to Karula? She's jogging now. What has she seen? Let's just stop here for 1 second. And I don't know the answer to that, Davina. I know she's not a direct descendant of Karula. I think that she might potentially share a father with Karula. But for those of you who are more familiar with our leopard tree, family tree, if you could let me know what the relationship is between Nkanyeni and Karula. It's gone straight out of my head. I didn't know it at one point. You'll probably find with most female leopards in an area like this, because of the way that mothers pass territory down to their daughters, there is a very, very good chance that there is some kind of connection there, whether it be a shared father or potentially a grandmother or a great-grandmother. Casting about, looking around. Let's try and follow her on the road. There's two of us following her, and I'm going to go take the road rather than through the block. And that way we'll make sure that she doesn't disappear away from us. And I also don't want her to feel too under pressure, because while you were with Tingana, we were joined by one of the other vehicles. Dave is standing straight like a meerkat on sentry patrol, helping us look for her. So bear with me while we just try and find her again. She's in this drainage line system. We're right on the northern boundary. I'm just going to try and go around the side. There are other vehicles waiting to come into the sighting. So what we'll probably do is enjoy this as our last view of Nkanyeni. Actually, I can't see her anymore. We'll enjoy what we had of our last view of Nkanyeni and send you back across to James.
She does it a lot. As of late, doing it every drive at least.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Again, we're looking at Tingana. We thought we were stalking some impalas, which were just up ahead there, and then he went to sleep. Well, he sort of lay down in his regal fashion. That's what he does, you know, Brian. He's quite regal.
Oh, so regal.
He's so regal, so princely. This, of course, everybody is known as the Prince of Cats. I don't mean Tingana, I mean the leopard. We, of course, know that to be a patent untruth, and, well, I suppose if Karula's the Queen, this is her Prince Philip. That actually suits quite well, don't you think? Hopefully he's slightly more liberal in his views than the actual Prince Philip. And, of course, we're not allowed to say that anymore, Brian, because as we know, G and C have been renamed X and H. Oh, look at this light. Hello, Raj. You want to know there's a difference between a jungle leopard and a snow leopard in terms of food and lifestyle. Well, a snow leopard, of course, is a totally different species. And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't even belong to the same genus. So they're quite far apart. But in terms of what they eat, a snow leopard, I think, predominantly feeds on sort of mountain goats, or the equivalent of what they have there in the sort of foothills of the Himalaya. That's as far as I can go for now. So, in terms of the size of stuff that they eat, Raj, yeah, that's pretty similar. Now, of course, jungle leopard, or just leopard, is this leopard, and the leopard we might find in India, the leopard we'd find in Russia and in China and in the Middle East. It's all the same leopard. A slightly different subspecies of them, but the snow leopard, a completely different species. And I've seen that. I mean, if you haven't seen it, some astonishing footage of a snow leopard actually catching, it's some kind of Himalayan rock jumping antelope. I forget exactly what kind it was, but leaping. I mean, the chase is unbelievable. And I don't know where it was BBC's, it may have been Planet Earth, where they filmed it. And it's about an impala-sized thing, I suppose, but it leaps up and down the rocks, and the snow leopard manages to catch it. You can't believe the chase that goes on. So yeah, similar sized food, but totally different species. Now, I can't really move from here, everybody, without disturbing him, so I think let's just watch him like this for now. Hello, Odie Cho. You say this animal is so camouflaged. He is rather cleverly camouflaged, isn't he? But you know, they're camouflaged, as Brian and I were chatting about the other day. They're largely camouflaged for this very season. I'm just going to lower my voice a little bit. I think I'm talking for the speed at which we were driving. And it's winter now, and so there's no green around, but there's also nothing for him to hide behind. You've seen in summer we would have lost this leopard a long time ago, moving through the green bushes, but now there are no leaves on the trees, and so in order for him to stay hidden from what he wants to eat, he needs to be better camouflaged at this time of the year than he does in the summer. And you can see that that gold and bronze colour very much mimics the dappled colours hanging from the grey trees, and so when he walks through the setting sun like this, he absolutely is beautifully camouflaged. He's the perfect colour for this time of the year. That's wonderful. Enjoying that camera, Brian? It is quite useful, isn't it?
It is.
Now, like I say, there were some impala up ahead. I don't know that that's what he's after right now. Okay, let's quickly go back to Nkanyeni. Not back to Nkanyeni, but back to this leopard here, Tingana. Oh, look at this colour now. Look at him. Look at him wandering into the setting sun there. Oh, that's too gorgeous. It's too much of gorgeous, Brian.
Way too much.
I feel quite gorgeous out. And there he goes. Now he's turned back towards the camp, back towards the Djuma Dam camp, so maybe he is quite thirsty. Okay, well, while we reposition here, let's go back to Jamie, who is with lions.
At Tingana for too long. I just had to, had to bring you across here because the most extraordinary surprise just happened. Dave got off the vehicle to stretch his legs. We've just pulled out of the sighting with Nkanyeni, and all of a sudden there were just lion cubs belting out of the bushes on either side of us. Dave got back in the car very quickly, funnily enough. So Nkanyeni is right here. I don't know where the lionesses are. I'm assuming they've gone further ahead. There is one cub yowling somewhere in the bushes off behind me. And that would account for why Nkanyeni was so nervous when she jogged across the road there. I've lost everything. The leopard's in there somewhere. The cubs have just crossed. Let's just go and see if we can't catch up with this cub that's making all the fuss. I don't know where the adults have gone at all. I don't know where these cubs came. Well, I do know where they came from because we were there, but we were far. Let's just check I'm not riding over. Standing by. I can't see my fuzzies, only my pimpans. 3 of them have just run north across the boundary.
Okay, thanks.
Where are you going, little cub? Alright, I don't want to push too hard here because something's frightened them. There goes little cub. Racing away into the distance. I am so confused. I think there are other cubs further back there. Where are the adults? Maybe some of the adults went a little bit further ahead and we just missed them, which will come as a huge relief for Dave, since he was off the vehicle at the time. And that's it. Just like that, I've lost visual of them. Ari standing by. And just like that, they've all disappeared. You're more than welcome. Are there any adults there?
Not as far as I can see, only Mantuan.
Okay, copy. One of the Bantuans has just run back towards where we had the pride initially, but you're welcome to stay there. Chaos! They've just popped out a Jacobin open. Some of the cubs, no adults. That little cub has run back the way he came. I don't want to, obviously, I don't want to follow the cub off-road. I don't know what's going on or what scared them. It might just be that the adults moved and the cubs got left behind and got confused and upset. But let's go back, we'll stay on the road and we'll see if we can't solve pieces of this puzzle. But for now, I have lost the view of all of the lion cubs. Luckily for us and for Nkanyeni, oh, there we go. They've gone in completely the opposite direction to where Nkanyeni is, which is a huge relief. That was my biggest concern through all of it. Okay, got one female here. So we can go off-road. They're not unprotected or all alone. Let's just gauge our next... Mike, came upon the Styx Pied about 50 meters west of where I saw you. A couple of Mpimpans have crossed north. I've still got one Mafuzzy and Mapimpan just off the road here.
Okay, copy that.
Sorry, everybody. Trying to do game drive comms as well. Phew. I don't want to get in too close. I just want to gauge the animal's reaction for a moment. I think they're all fine. Huh. Here comes a lioness. She's calling. I think she lost. Maybe the adults did go through. She is contact calling. You can see she's very focused. Maybe those cubs panicked because they really were just racing away. And there didn't seem to be any sign of the adults. That was very silly of them. Put themselves at serious risk going off like that. Even Nkanyeni, who is a female leopard, is a potential threat. Oh, little cub is making a fierce racket. Right, there it goes. It's going to come running in front of us. What? What's wrong, little one? That really sounded like Mom. Mom! Racing off to find the rest of them. Our lioness is just... Where'd you go? I promised there was a lioness there a moment ago. There was, right, Dave?
Yep.
She's vanished. What is going on? Oh, I can hear. Lions there, lions there, lions there. What on earth is happening? Oh, there we go. There's the other two. There's the lionesses.
Whereabouts?
They are just over there. Through that gap. They're going to come out in front of us. I don't want to reposition too much until we figure out exactly what is going on. We really, really want the lionesses to come towards us and not further to the east, because that's going to take them straight towards Nkanyeni. Luckily, the cubs have gone north, which I'm hoping will move the lionesses that way as well. But we don't need to be too scared, because the one thing leopards are very good at doing... Oh, they don't seem too distressed at all. Here comes our little cub racing back. And as he goes to catch up with the adults, look at his floppy ears. Oh dear. While our little cub races back towards the lions, it's another big cat extraordinaire. Let's go back to James and Tingana.
Tingana's just moved, I'm afraid, everybody. We're now in some fairly thick stuff again. But he's about to hit Mvubu Road. Yeah, that is Mvubu Road right there, is it not, Brian? Oh my goodness. And he's now on Mvubu Road, and all we have to do is push through this giant wall of common spike thorn. Hold on, Brian. Well done, Brian. Well held. I'm just indicating to Taxon where he's going. We're on a road, thank goodness, Brian. Whew. How are the tyres that side? Okay, don't worry about them. Let's just watch the leopard for a little while. He's having quite a walk this afternoon. I think maybe the Galago Pan. So the Galago Pan is just off to the left-hand side of where he is now, there, and the other one behind you, there. He might do a little bit of marking of his territory there. There we are. Very nice. I'm just going to move out the way so that Tex can also see him. Yeah, no, he's now turned towards the Galago Pan. He's feeling a little thirsty. Don't blame him. I'm feeling quite thirsty today. It's been quite warm. And you can just see the golden shine there of the sun as it is about to set. Now he's going into a block, everybody, that we are not going to attempt to follow him in. That makes that other block look like the clearings of the Great Masai Mara. Yeah. Let's see what's going on with him. We're going to follow him as far as we can, parallel with the road. I'm not going to try and blast in there. So let's, while we do that, go back to the lions as the spotted prince of Djuma disappears into the sunset.
Cat action absolutely everywhere. And while you were with James and Tingana, our little cub repeated the process once again of dashing off in front of us, yowling, and then dashing back, yowling. So I'm not entirely sure exactly what's gone on here. And I'm not entirely sure what to do with myself, to be honest. I don't know whether to go and try and follow those cubs, but I'm a little bit worried about pushing them further away from the adults if they are on their own, the ones that we saw dashing down the road. So I think what we'll do is we'll take the safe course of action and stick with the lionesses, because we know that they will be able to look after the cub. I don't want to push the other cubs further away if they are on their own, although I only see 2 lionesses. So perhaps there was an adult lioness that went just ahead and was very thirsty. There's water there, so I guess that must be that. But since that is the conclusion that I have come to, I have to figure out how to get us a slightly better view as the sun starts to dip below the horizon. As you know, we don't spotlight little lion cubs or little leopard cubs or little cubs of any description. So we will have limited time to spend with these little ones. But let's go see if we can... Oh, there goes... Sorry. Let me reposition. And Jerry in California, welcome to the Sunset Safari. Yes, absolutely. A lion will recognize the call of its own pride. It's not just standard lion noise. They probably, to be honest, Jerry, they probably recognize the individual that's making the call, not just the fact that it's from the same pride as them. So it is something that they are very, very good at. Even human beings can recognize, with plenty of practice, who start to recognize the difference between male and female calls, contact calls, cub calls. Well, oh my goodness, poor Dave has just been thoroughly bumped about this afternoon. You're right there, Dave. You're going to need to get you an ice pack after this drive. Sort of. only got one cub as far as I can tell. The rest of them must have gone dashing off. Which is the jack. Okay. Doesn't pay to be short and not able to see over the top of the Land Rover. How's your view there, Dave, of our little cub still yowling? Scratching, licking, and contact calling all at the same time. Sorry, Jerry, I was in the middle of answering your question, although I was pretty much done. The fact that we can distinguish as human beings between males and females and different types of line calls, they're much more expert at it, to the point that just like if you were to hear a person's voice that you know, you'd be able to recognize it from in amongst a whole load of other different voices. And that's crucial, because you don't want to go barreling off thinking joyfully that you've heard your pride mates roaring to you, only to discover that it is a rival pride. That would be disastrous. Scratch, 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 lick, scratch, scratch, lick, scratch, lick, scratch, lick. Oh, little one. Poor thing. They've got plenty of energy, though. I mean, he just came barreling past. You know, we never really got to complete our head count. I know that at least 4 cubs ran past Dave as he was climbing back onto the vehicle. The female's calling as well. And while our lovely lions decide what it is they're planning on doing, let's jump on board with James for a quick peek at the setting sun.
Very pretty, everybody. Look at that. Brian is going to create some magic for you now. Watch this. Isn't that lovely? Just have to quickly take a call from Tex. I think he might have the leopard. Go ahead. Yo vona jambo. He wanted to know if we had the leopard, everybody, and then he started giggling when I said no, we were looking at the sun. Isn't that beautiful? It's about to set yet again. And as I've said to you many times before, it is impossible to get sick of that sight, unless you, of course, are a person of no heart. And that's not a sight you get in East Africa, everyone, the sun setting through the trees, because there ain't no trees for it to set through. Totally different feeling. Neither better than the other, though. It's gorgeous, Brian. It's orange and copper and gold and ginger. It's lovely. I don't know why I just spoke like that. I apologize to everyone concerned. Very pretty indeed. All right, let's go back to Jamie and her lions. Jamie. We are still live, everybody. Thank goodness I have not said one naughty word all day, Brian. Wouldn't you say that's quite lucky?
That is quite lucky. I was whipping the camera around.
I know.
So I wasn't so lucky.
You weren't so lucky. Oh dear. Bad luck, Brian.
I know.
Oh well.
It happens.
C'est la vie. Okay, everybody. The leopard is gone. The sun is now gone as well. So I think we're going to go up onto quarantine clearings and see what we can find there. We're not going to go back to those lions, of course, because we're not going to view lions when the sun has set. Okay, now apparently the TriCaster has been beaten again by Louise with a 4-pound hammer. Let's see if it goes to Jamie now.
Poor Louise is going to end up taking out that giant 4-pound hammer that she keeps hidden away for special occasions in order to beat TriCaster into submission. The reason we've left the lions, and I'm going nice and slowly now, I can hear them calling, so the little one's still around there, the females are still that side, but I want to just come across here because apparently the cubs are on their way back. Radio comms are not good. Little cub tracks in the road. I'm going, there we go, there they come. So Nkanyeni has just crossed, probably about, I don't know, maybe 50 meters away from where we are. Here come the cubs galloping back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You little monkeys, where did you think you were going? Hello. Look at this one with its floppy ear in the road. Hi, Munchkin. Off you go, it's okay. It's okay. One little cub. 2, oh, this little cub looks terrible. Oh my goodness. 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 little cubs. Oh, little ones. No, no, no. That's my car. The lion cub is right underneath the car. That's the first time that's ever happened to me. The lion cub went under the wheel. It went under the car and out the other side. I was trying to keep my movement slow so that I didn't scare it. So in case you ever wanted to realize just how comfortable the animals are with us, that lion cub just climbed underneath the car and out the other side. Poor little things, they do look terrible. Sure. It was quite a shock. I haven't seen them properly since I went on leave. Some of them definitely look worse. Okay, so making their way back towards the adults, which is good news. Unfortunately, 6 cubs just came back that way. There was a 7th with the females. There's unlikely to be another little cub wandering around somewhere here, so there's a good chance that unfortunately one cub hasn't made it. The littlest ones, I think, are potentially on their way to succumbing to the mange. Mike, sorry, can I make my way in?
Yeah, look on your left. She's just crossed.
Copy, thanks. Well timed, Nkanyeni. Well timed. Go, girl, go. You don't want to be around in this area. Standing by?
You mind if I squeeze by you here quick?
Go, go, right ahead. No problem. Excuse me. Alright, there goes Nkanyeni off into Nkoro, narrowly missing the lion cubs by a hair's breadth. You can see how careful she's being. Creeping forward, she knows they're there. She wants to get away. So she's making sure that she keeps moving. A couple of people are saying that that's not Nkanyeni. Have I got that wrong? I've never seen her before. I'm sure it's Nkanyeni. They're saying she's an unknown female leopard. My goodness, it's all happening here on this part of Cheetah Plains. Pretty sure that was in Kanyeni. I'm confused, I don't understand. There's just a bit of chatter on the Game Drive channel saying that it's not. So off she goes into Nkoro. We're going to leave Nkanyeni. Keep our fingers crossed that she stays away from those lions. Chances are she absolutely will. Leopards are very good at lion avoidance. I'm sure she's going to be absolutely fine. She knows that they're here. She's heard them. She's probably seen them at that point where all the little cubs came running past us. So she's going to keep on moving away from their clutches. Now, just to go back to our lion cub sighting that we just had, we had a question that came through, which was whether or not the mange will clear up on its own. Yes, potentially. Amy, sorry, that was a question coming through from you. Amy, yes. Chances are the mange could clear up on. They're either going to die or the mange is going to clear up. It might be a recurring. Let's just see if we can't figure out where they are. They must be where we left them. It might be something that recurs throughout their lives, but it's something that they're going to have to grow out of themselves. And I've always been very positive about the Styx cubs and their mange, but I have to say that the one little one that came underneath our car looked absolutely terrible. Really, really awful. And I'm hoping that it's going to make it and that it pulls through. But I got quite a shock at how bad they looked, to be completely honest with you. Very hard to witness. There we go. And Jane, you're thinking along the same lines as I am. Oh, reunited once again. You silly Nunus, where were you going? Got confused. Jane is thinking along the same lines, which is, could the wildlife authorities not treat these animals? And the answer is no. Unfortunately not, and I understand what you mean. I feel it as much as you. Whenever we see animals in this condition or with a limp or an injury, it's very, very difficult. It's something very difficult to explain. But the standard approach is to let nature take its course unless it is a human-inflicted injury. And I know that there is an argument about how we are the reason that some of these animals are endangered in the first place, but the truth is lions are not endangered in South Africa. And an overpopulation of lions is worse, because it means the end of leopards, it means the end of cheetah, hyena. So we have to let nature take its course. I know that's such a cliched saying, but unfortunately it's very true, because nature's been doing it for longer than we have, and probably with a far higher success rate. And if we saved these cubs now, we might end up, if we saved all of the cubs that we wanted to save, we'd have too many lions in this particular area. We have to let nature take its course, unless it is human-inflicted, which is why Sindile was caught and darted and vaccinated, because that was as a result of human interaction to a certain extent. A little snarl at the cubs. And really, hopefully all of them will be fine. I think that only the older ones are going to survive, but I really hope I'm wrong about that. And no lion pride raises all cubs straight through to adulthood without loss. And Brian, on a slightly happier note, talking about our little baby cats, Brian would like to know why, since lions are part of the cat family, are they called cubs and not kittens? And it's one of those weird linguistic distinctions that it doesn't actually have a firm principle or linguistic base. But because they are part of Panthera rather than the Felidae, well, they're part of Felidae, but the Felis family, so wild cats, tame cats, domestic cats, all of the smaller cat species, their babies are referred to as kittens. Those of the Panthera genus, tigers, leopards, lions, mountain lions, snow leopards, all have their babies called cubs and not kittens. It's because it's something that distinguishes them as part of the Panthera genus. but there's no real distinction. It's just one of those linguistic idiosyncrasies, like calling an elephant a bull and a calf and an impala a ram and a ewe. And maybe mongoose kits or kittens, and it gets very confusing. Well, luckily for our lion family, they are reunited once again, and we have a happy and contented scene playing out in front of us. I'm going to leave them now, as it is starting to get dark. I'm going to leave them to carry on their business. I also don't want to run the risk of interfering in any way in case they do happen to come upon Nkanyeni in Nkoro. So while we move off, let's go and have a look at James and his stripy ponies.
Now, Brian and I were just discussing what it is that has created that strange patterning. Now, if you were to look at the back end of that zebra, you might be tempted to conclude that a lion had had at it, scratched it, and there had been a number of sort of scarry type rejoinings of the stripes. But I think, looking at the front leg there, that's not the case. I just think he's got quite odd sort of stripes on the join of the leg to the trunk there, Brian. What do you say?
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Yes. Good. Now, I was asked while we were in Kenya. Ooh, Koki Franklin. Ooh, no, Shelley's Franklin. Is it Shelley's or Koki?
It's Koki.
Is it? No, it's a Shelley's. It's a Shelley's. I think I'm going mad. I'm just going to check that before I tell you a horrible lie. But do you see the white there? It might just be a Mrs. Koki. It's just because I want to see a Shelley's, you see. Let me just quickly check in me book. You've still got him there, have you, Brian?
Yeah.
Franklin 162. Heartlobs. It's not a heartlar, no, it's a female Koki, everyone. Sadness. And there, her consort, possibly. No, that's a female. I shall just find you both and then you can see the difference. It wasn't a dreadful mistake, but it wasn't a very good one, everyone. It's definitely a Koki. Thank you, Brian, for pointing that out to me.
You're welcome, James.
I was just overwhelmed with excitement. Now, as I was saying, in Kenya, what you have there are the zebras, and then we were asked, are they the same, first of all, and they are. But second of all, do they have the shadow stripe? Now, if we look in at those zebras slightly closer, you can see that brown stripe in between the black and white stripes, sometimes known as a shadow stripe, and that tends to fade. That's a particularly poor example of a shadow stripe, but they do tend to fade. There you go, that's perfect. As you go further north. So the ones in the Mara where we were now, virtually no shadow striping at all. That is the perfect angle to look at a shadow stripe. It's not the perfect angle to look at anything else. Hello, RC in the Netherlands. You're wondering about something called a Grants zebra and whether it is a different subspecies. Look, the biologists can never agree with each other. They're a bit like politicians. I'll show you the differences. There are only 4 species of zebra. There's the Cape Mountain, the Hartmann's Mountain zebra, the Plains or Burchell zebra, which I think is sometimes called the Grants zebra, and I think you'll find that some sometimes call or differentiate a different subspecies. But then you have something called a Grevy's zebra, also up in East Africa, but we didn't find those in the Mara. They're not found there. So let me just quickly check here.
That's a Koki.
Look, they're all over. It's Koki City.
5 in total.
So I'm just looking here, and yes, no, it doesn't even say Grants at all. There are currently 4 subspecies, apparently. A Boomy, from East Africa, Crawshay, and all of these, of course, do things like, and then there's Burchelli here, and then there's Chapmani. And all of them will hybridize with each other. They don't look really very different from each other. Grant's zebra, I think I've heard of before, but I don't have it here in my book, which I find a little bit strange. But basically, that's the detail of what happens with the zebras. So the Grevy's, very closely striped, looks much more like a donkey than these rather elegant-looking horse-like ones. Then you get the mountain zebras. In this particular book, they're known as the same species, different subspecies, and then you get the plains zebra, this one. Beautiful. All right, let's head back across to Jamie. She's going to depart the plains of cheetah. Brian, you've caught me with my leg hanging out the window. I was just enjoying the relaxing sighting of the zebra, reading up on them as we watch that zebra disappear into the sunset. Let's go across to Jamie as she leaves Cheetah Plains.
Dave and myself face the long and arduous, okay, not really arduous, the long journey home from Cheetah Plains with the smell of Amanda's cooking to guide us back in. Unfortunately, we do go through a considerable series of gremlin-filled hollows on our way back from Cheetah Plains, so we're going very, very slowly. Perhaps we'll stop and look at the silhouette of the drongo, because it's gone. Never mind. We'll look at the silhouette of the tree. There was a fork-tailed drongo there, a little blackbird, chirping away merrily, but I think they heard me say that we were going to look at them and they promptly got camera shy and flew away. Sure, so a marvellous afternoon. I finally got to see Nkanyeni, which is incredibly exciting, and you are all right, she is extraordinarily beautiful. Not that there is an ugly leopard that I've encountered so far, but she is particularly beautiful, sleek and slender, stunning. And then, of course, a marvellous sighting with the sticks and their gorgeous, if somewhat moth-eaten, little cubs. Right, well, we come now to the end of our sunset safari, so a big thank you to Dave for all of his fantastic camera work and for so promptly getting. It came as a great relief, as well as to Lou and to Kirsty in Final Control, and most importantly, thank you all for joining us across the globe. I hope you had a marvellous cat-filled sunset safari. We'll catch up with you tomorrow on the Sunrise Safari. Bye-bye, everybody, and enjoy your last few moments with James Hendry, who'd love to share this beautiful evening with you.
Now, there's a Cokie Franklin telling you why he's called a Cokie Franklin somewhere in here, but we can't see him.
There he is.
You can hear them in the background there. There he is. Well spotted, Brian. Golden-headed Cokie Franklin, perfectly coloured, again, for this type of vegetation. They're calling everywhere now. See if he calls again. He set them all off, this chap. That's his family behind there. I think a lot of those must be from a clutch that has been born sometime during the winter. And they're still with mum and dad. Don't want to leave home yet, Brian.
No.
Still sponging off mum and dad. Lovely colours. Hello, James. You wondering about our little trip to the Mara and if we saw a whole lot of different kinds of birds that we don't get here? A few really quite special ones. The first or most exciting one was something called a purple grenadier. It's mostly exciting because of its name. Let me show you a picture of it. I have a new bird app, everybody. Not quite as good as the other one, but it's okay. Let's look at grenadier. I can't find it. Wait. Sorry, everybody. There we go, I've got him. There he is. Look at the purple grenadier, Brian. Is he not magnificent? Looks a little bit like a violet-eared waxbill, but that is the purple grenadier, so that was a particular highlight. I had to struggle to make Graham film him, mainly because Graham likes to film, well, kills, basically, and also because Graham can't see something that small with the pair of spectacles on that he was using. So we had a rip-roaring fight, and eventually, I'm not sure if he did actually film the purple grenadier. Anyway, here's the purple grenadier. So that was one. Then there's the Ruppel's vulture. I'm just going to quickly show you that one, and I'll be able to find him quite quickly because he's really quite impressive. And we see him, we don't see him here. It's possible that we could see him here, but you can see he looks pretty much like a white-backed vulture, but for the fact that he's got that honey-coloured beak. You see that? And the immature has got a sort of very pale blue, very pleasantly coloured beak. So those were two of the highlights for me. There was something called a spur-winged lapwing that looks like a sort of a slightly whiter blacksmith lapwing, so that was quite nice. But there are various other birds, but those were the two highlights for me. There's lots to learn there, you know. We saw topee. I know nothing about topee. You can read about them, of course, and we did that, but you don't really know until you actually watch them behaving. The Grant's gazelle, spectacular little gazelle, and I really enjoyed that. And I was sad not to see a cheetah there, because I feel a cheetah in the Mara must be the ultimate place to see such a bird. Hello, the dude. That's from the Big Lebowski, isn't it? Yes, the dude. Hello, the dude. Do you think we're talking to Jeff Bridges?
I think so.
There we are.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hello, Jeff. How's it going? The dude, you want to know if it gets a little bit more dangerous at this time of the day as the sun has set and things get a bit darker. The dude, no. Not really. On foot, absolutely. On foot, you don't want to be walking around on foot. Lions and hyenas specifically, also leopards, very confident in the night. They know they can see better than everything else, and so then they do become relatively dangerous. But at this time of the day in the vehicles, they just don't see the vehicles as something worth eating or something that they want to eat, and they don't see us as something to eat inside the cars. On foot, yes, definitely. In the vehicles, not. Thank you, Jeff Bridges. Now, everybody, I know there are a few of you wondering about time changes, and yes, the times, you can certainly see the season progressing. We will change times, not for the next little while. We will keep you informed. I think it'll be plus minus around the 15th of September. We're not sure just yet, but that's probably around about when it will be. But we will give you at least a week's notice before we change the times. When we do change them, it will probably be a half hour in the morning and then a half hour in the evening. It might just be the half hour in the evening that we change, but we'll let you know. We'll give you some advanced warning so that you can change your alarm clocks, drop your kids off where they need to be, or pick them up indeed and have them in front of the television at the right time. No moon tonight, Brian. I think it's going to be dark and dangerous. There isn't a moon, is there? No. Right, we shall pull up here. Ah yes, as Louise pointed out to me very obviously and slightly sardonically and understandably, she said the moon passed in front of the sun a little bit earlier. Thank you, Louise, it did indeed. So it is long gone. Right, we shall stop here and then bid you a fond farewell for the evening. Alright everyone, that's going to be it from Brian and I today. Big thank you to Brian, thank you for your magnificently solar eclipsed thumb. Thank you to Jamie on the on Treater Plains with David. Was she with David? Yes, she was with David. And of course to Alex and Peter for creating the new final control. A big thanks to them. And Louisi and Kirsten, the final control. But mostly to all of you for your questions and comments throughout the course of the morning, afternoon. We'll see you in the morning. Bye-bye.